in the week. Unfortunately, it is going to be a negative week again, back-to-back negative weeks for all three markets. Here's how things are shaping up right now. 0.18 for the S&P 500, the Dow about 0.3. The NASDAQ back downside 0.16 in negative territory. It's been back and forth all day. It was positive for a while. Now we're back to the downside, but within this range for the most part all afternoon to this point. Anyways, here in Toronto, about 0.5% in positive territory. Thanks a lot to this. 2.8% for crude oil. It's been a very, very strong day for energy stocks. TSX benefiting greatly from that. 1.64 Brazil to the upside, 0.28 there for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Here is how the board looks right now. 0.23 for the S&P 500. This is the energy group. So the entire thing in positive territory, led by APA there, 5% to the upside. HES 4%, COP, VLO, DVN. All about 3% in positive territory. Again, 3.5% at 1.4 crude oil back to the upside. Tech stocks now negative on the day. They were among the positive names to start, including these ones down here. It's kind of tough to see, but that's Enphase. If you remember, we saw Enphase on the upgrade side of the analyst board this morning, showing all kinds of positivity. Moderna still leading as far as negativity is concerned. The healthcare group, the entire thing negative on the day, but Moderna standing out there, 4% downside. Paramount is 2.8% downside, but the rest of the communications group actually not bad, including some of the other streaming names outside of Netflix. Warner Brothers did have some news this morning back to the upside. This one, NWSA, was that Bloomberg story we talked about. Bloomberg apparently looking at the Wall Street Journal, or the parent company of the Wall Street Journal, to see if there's a possibility of a combination. There's WBD, as I mentioned, back downside. Google, though, offsetting all of that. So the good news, it's a green board. It's a positive afternoon, not a huge move, but coming off of what has happened the past couple of days. Great to see the market back in positive territory. We'll kick things off, as we always do, with a look at what we were talking about if you joined us pre-market this morning. Make sure you're doing that every single day. We're live every day at 8:30. We had more inflation data this morning. If you remember, November PCE coming in basically in line with expectation. The year-over-year number was a little bit higher than expected. So wild action initially, but the market does end up kind of floating higher throughout the day. 0.2 right now for the S&P. Neil's going to lead us off this afternoon and have a look at one of his trades from this morning.
Welcome, your holiday special trade of the day, brought to you as always by Day Trade the World. It's going to be Apple today, and I'm glad it's a long trade because, quite frankly, it hasn't been the best year, and it looked like this morning we could see another little bit of a sell-off, so I'm glad we found some bottoms in there. Going to always start out with the higher time frame. I got my daily chart up there to show you. I mean, Apple's down 1%, but look at this 130, 128 bottom channel on the daily. You go all the way back to midsummer when you put in these 128 lows, and then you had the 130 coming into play today. So I knew where that support was overall, and yes, I had some Tesla short, had some other names that were playing short side, still are as a matter of fact, but once we were coming down, I knew what I was looking for in Apple. There was a massive battle being waged when it got to 130. You can see the line in the sand. There were multiple breaks going 20 cents down, 30 cents down, 40 cents at absolute most, but it would always rebound and the buyers would come back into the market. This was in the midst of a little bit of a drop overall. And we're saying in the morning show, you know what? We're not going another leg down here unless Apple cracks this channel to said downside. But that works both ways. And in this case, all we waited for was that last little wick beneath the higher low, the break of the channel to the upside, and then we're long 130.5. And one of my favorite parts about this trade was when it broke the next channel up to 131. We always say averaging in or averaging up or down should be part of a plan and not just reactionary. Before I was even put to the decision at 131, I said, you know what? If we reverse off this, it should be a bigger move. This should not be a 25 or 50 cent scalp trade. That instance where you want to get out for that first 50 cent win, I'm thinking break and take more shares because you're going channel up, it's going further. We're going to get more and we're going to play it for a bigger move because of that. So I end up adding to the position at 131. my first outs of both these are going to be at that 131.5. Then we're able to cover, wait for the 75, and then the 132. Now, the thing about a trade on a day like today, it being the last trading day before Christmas, is a lot of times the best moves will be early. So that's why you wanted to add to that position, figuring it's the best move of the day. You want to make sure you have more shares in that situation. So as it's going in your favor, take more. You might not be able to see it again. And lo and behold, when I get another wick low, higher low as well, I play off VWAP, not nearly as good of a trade. You're able to scalp it for 20, 30 cents, maybe a little bit more, but you're not getting the outsized move. This all comes with having a plan of action, knowing where strength is, knowing where your support is going to be, and understanding that you might only get one shot at a bigger move, and you want to make sure if it's an A+ setup, you put more shares on or add to your position as it goes up. That's why Apple's going to be your trade of the day here. As always, check out Day Trade the World if you're interested in starting your day trading journey, and happy holidays.
All right, yeah, good move for both Apple and some of the other tech stocks back to the upside today. Make sure you grab that every single day before you come join us at 8:30. Absolutely free for you every single day is the morning watch list. Just hit that link, enter your email, and then it just appears every single day in your inbox for free. We had Meta, we had Apple, we had Alphabet, all that we were discussing in the pre-market this morning. Let's get into a few of those right now and see what the big deal was this morning. Tesla on a bit of a bounce this afternoon, but it did give you a move back to the downside early on this morning. And as we mentioned, it was all about Elon yesterday in a Twitter Spaces of all places. Aftermarket yesterday, Elon comes out and says he's done selling, guys. He's not going to sell any more shares for up to 2 years because he thinks we're going to be in recession that entire time.
Sure.
Do you believe him?
Sure, we believe him. Wink, wink. As Tesla continues to have a negative day today, sure, whatever. It doesn't really matter at this point. Like I said for this morning, I would assume that he would think that by saying this, it's going to stem the bleeding in Tesla. But Tesla's got its own reasons at this point. It's not even about, if you're saying you're going to stop selling because of a recession, but then are also hinting at lower demand in cars, I think there's going to be an issue with the stock price. Anyways, we were trading this earlier today. We were thinking 130 above, 122 down below, which was yesterday's low. Roughly yesterday's low, and then we saw that quick move down to 122, somewhat of a stabilization, then a snap back up to 128, and that should have been enough to get us to 130, but what does Tesla do? Nope, right back down to 122, and is now sitting at 124 and change. I think that snap up to 128 that couldn't get us going through 130, I think is a telltale sign that selling is not really done just yet in Tesla, so it may not be Elon, but at the same time, at this point, there's other factors in play for Tesla, not just one person selling a ton of shares. So I would keep an eye on this, especially with us going into a long weekend. I'm very curious. After an extended move down, in the last, few days, we're down from 150. This would be 20th. So that's 20, yeah, it's just a few days. And here we are down at 125. So going into a long weekend, an already aggressive week to the downside, I want to see how this market handles, or how Tesla handles a long weekend, knowing that market's going to be closed. Are we going to do a recovery rally, or maybe shorts are going to walk away from this trade, intraday shorts or multi-day shorts, or are we actually going to go for a sell side move and break 122, 121, and maybe 120 today? That'll be interesting, I think, going into the final week of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'll say this about Tesla, is yesterday I was determined. I didn't have a great day on Tesla because I probably left a lot on the table for the short trade. But I came in this morning after what happened in yesterday's trade and the way that Tesla's been trending to the downside. And I didn't have anything in Tesla. My trades aren't showing up from yesterday, but I had nothing until late in the day trading it at all. I missed out on that big of a move. I missed out on an Intel short that was absolutely fantastic. So my plan of action was there's absolutely no way that if a short sets up or there's a trend forming that I'm not going to try to join it. Even if I don't get the first move, I'm going to try and join that trend and I'm going to hold out for a bigger move. Just because I thought there was always a chance. I thought we could take 120 and I was going to slip in, scalp some out, look for re-entries, which never really set up, and then try to hold it through. Now, the problem with that plan was, as I was looking for either I was holding through for a bigger move or looking for a re-entry point, the market started setting up for a bottom. We're just talking about Apple. This is the point at which, if it pops, I'm looking to short the lower high and ride it even lower. But everything about Apple was telling me if it breaks out, then we're going to go. So no point reloading here because we're starting to break up. I could have covered the Tesla trade, but I decided that I wanted exposure if it was going to head lower. It ends up we ended up going back into the upside. I didn't go long this because I thought Apple was a better trade. I don't know that the charts are really all that different. I think if you got either one of those longs, congratulations. Really, the market had a nice little bounce there. It was just Apple I preferred on the reversal. I don't think much has changed from this morning. There's whipsaw action, but 125 has kind of been, that's where we closed yesterday. And I mean, we now have 125, and we're just going essentially back and forth 24 to 25. So we're down on the day, but really this afternoon is setting up that if we can't break this channel, you're basically going to be in that scalp mode in Tesla or just about everything that I'm looking at this point. Like, you're seeing a lot of back and forth barcoding. If we get a breakaway, fine, but I might be looking for some small caps that are going, or it's just scalp central for some of these names.
All right, let's talk AMC and APE here. It ended up being a bit of a quiet trade so far today anyways. I mean, AMC a little bit more so than APE back to the upside. Here's another 10% downside, but it was mostly in this gap. If you zoom out a little bit, it was mostly in the gap. We did get a little bit of a grind back to session lows essentially, but trying to hold 440 here for AMC. APE, on the other hand, doing about the same, but the opposite direction.
Yeah, the thing about APE is it gave you a really good bullish setup, which it started off by just flushing at the open. So here's 175 at the open. You can see it now. There you go. Here's 175 at the open, flushes, bounces off of 150, and then gives you this really, really tight consolidation. And this is maybe 10 cents. Like, you have that big of a move at the open, and then you go sideways for 25 minutes doing absolutely nothing. That's a channel break that you're going to want to have. So I said I'll just go 76 long when it breaks 75. But it could not get past $2. And once it doesn't do that, I think you're waiting for that dip and that pullback. And I just said, okay, well, the only place I want to go long is back in front of this 165 support that it had. So on the way back in, I think I got in too early at 71. I thought to myself, well, I'll just get more shares if it consolidates down here. But it ends up really just breaking out. So I'm still sitting in the 171 right now, as it's basically flat and not doing a heck of a lot. As long as it doesn't break 65, I think I want to be in this position, giving it a chance to try to run a little bit higher. But I would not be surprised if VWAP or slightly past it is the best we can get. Whoops, I just typed Amy. So somebody I know calls AMC Amy. And in my head, I was like, I'm about to talk about AMC, and then in my head, I'm sort of like, oh, talking about Amy next. And I actually just typed Amy in my level 2, which is weird because every now and then, like, Shawn and I will be talking, and this happens, it's crazy. Like, Shawn and I will be talking about something, and I'm going to pull up a stock in the trade next. And, like, he'll just say a word, like, I don't know, like we're talking about, like, the Rams or something like that, or like a football game. And then all of a sudden, it's like I just tried to call up RAMS. Like it's so weird how your brain works psychologically. But anyways, I digress. AMC, even more barcoding. This goes down when APE is going up, and I think that's a trend we saw yesterday. It's the same thing here. I'm not seeing much of a trade. I think there's a better chance that APE goes to the upside than AMC capitulates. Just given how much support this had in the afternoon, right around the same level, like it broke out 430, supported 430 and went higher, and it's just been bouncing here. So there's some equilibrium in and around these prices that, if anything, I think we might just not go anywhere on AMC today. It would be nice if it broke higher and gave us a trade, though.
I mean, I care as much about AMC or APE as I find more interesting things. I don't know, you guys can come to my screen. This is what I find more interesting. The weather radar. That's what I'm watching. This is what's more interesting right now, given that it's snowing. I'm not even going to bother looking at AMC or APE. Watching this is about the same as watching AMC and APE trade today, so we're just going to leave that alone. And what's next there, Brendan?
Arun, were you waiting for? It's all good. Right, okay. I was wondering what was going on. Let's talk about Meta here. We were discussing a little bit on how it was setting up to be possibly a weekday, but there were significant levels holding underneath Meta. There was also this news story today. I mean, a minor one at best, but there was a settlement reached, $725 million worth, due to a lawsuit that was filed against the company in relation to the last election and this data breach or supposed data breach. They didn't, however, admit to any wrongdoing in this settlement, but they said in the best interest of shareholders, they'll fork out that much just to make it go away.
Well, whoever admits to wrongdoing in a settlement, right? Like it's just how it works. You did wrong. But Meta, I want to show two examples here. I'm going to show Meta and I'm going to show Snapchat. But I want to start with Meta. And the trade for Meta, or at least where I started from with Meta, was, okay, let's look at it on the daily, see the support that it's got at 12 and 13, the 50 period holding at 114. Like everything about that just says, buy the dip in front of support. Like everything I was talking about with that 130 area on Apple is how I was originally sitting down and approaching Meta. And then here's what happened with Meta at the open. And I'll tell you exactly why Meta's my worst stock today. Because at 8:30 when we got the number, this wick flashed down to 116 and I was bidding like 115 change or so. Like I like the 115 area. I'm like, okay, there's 13 on the bottom, there's 14 high or low. I'm a bid in front of 15 on the dip buy. That's what the chart's telling me, be patient at the open. So I missed the fill. I think Arun got a good dip in Apple or something like that.
Yeah.
And I missed the fill in Meta. And so at this point, I'm kind of angry with myself. I'm like, okay, well, I kind of like the breakout trade. I'll still keep that on, maybe for smaller size, but I'll put the breakout trade still on there. The problem with a breakout trade, when you've taken out the look, you have a gap up, consolidation above yesterday's range. This breakout is only valid when I trade it, the way I like it, if it holds low. It broke the low at 8:30. Then I don't want the breakout anymore. I'm only buying dips at that point. So I still take the breakout trade, thankfully for smaller size, but it doesn't make it any better because you'll see that I averaged into it. And then just say, okay, well, fine, I'm still giving it to the low, averaged into it at the low. It promptly breaks the low because it already took the low at 8:30, and that low meant absolutely nothing. Then I decide I don't want to trade the stock anymore because I'm tilted. And, well, that's what I usually do. If I make a bad read on a stock, I don't like going back to the well and revenge trading it. I like to move on to something else, which I did to Apple. But it bounces off 115 only to see it come all the way back to the high. So the original thesis I had is what worked. The trade I forced did not work. And then I want to take to, this happens not very long after in Snapchat related stock, where I wanted only one thing on Snap. Now Snapchat actually respected the bottom range here from the afternoon, making the breakout certainly valid. However, you can see when I get long, this never breaks the high of the day. So I get triggered into a long position up here in Snapchat when it never broke the top. So that's a bad trigger. And there's a couple of ways you can handle that. Whatever, it's going, it's strong, I'll just average in or whatnot. Or bad wick, it snaps back on you. Get out. Just get out of the trade. This is the best trade I made today. It's the best trade I made all week, and it was a loser. It goes all the way back to the low, and then I just say forget about Snapchat. When you want a breakout, it needs to clear through resistance. If you get caught like this, just get out of the trade. Don't average into it. Don't sit there and complain and cry about it. Just get out of the trade if you don't want it. So that's what I was learning today. My one revenge trade, and thankfully I got away from Meta because I probably would have made some mistakes along the lines after that. It feels relatively weak. I don't know that I see a trade up top there on Meta. I'd be inclined to fade highs unless I see the ES through 3880. I think I want to fade highs at this point.
At 3880. I guess that's only 20 points. This market's done some crazy moves today.
You think we go 20 points?
I mean, yeah, probably. This market has the potential. It's been sideways, but it's put in a low of 20 and a high of like 70. So it's got a 50-point range on the day. So it's potentially there in terms of activity to the upside. But in terms of Meta, I mean, like you look at the daily chart on Meta, this is not the greatest of charts here. In terms of ranges, we got 125 up top, 112 down below, and I talked about Meta in terms of how to play this or how I wanted to play this, and they really weren't giving me too much to work with. We're sitting at 118. Intraday-wise, you can justify some trades, but it's going to be very hard to actually step in and take a long or any sort of position and expect it to go far, right? You get 118, you're going to be locked up at 120. What's your risk on this trade? I have no clue at this point. So for me, it's just easier for me to work 125 up top or 112 down below, and everything in between I just stay away from. So Meta, not exactly the best setup in terms of the daily. So that's the very first thing I do is, what does it look like on the daily? Is there space to move? And if there isn't space to move, you just move on to another name. Meta at some point will break either 125 or 112. Until that happens, I would just kind of back off and find other names to work with.
Amazon.
One more to go. Yeah, Alphabet was the last one. I was just looking at this. Too Simple as well. TSP in the EV group. Some new executives or executive changes coming through for them. Another one that's just been absolutely killed all year long, but up nicely today, 15% for TSP. There wasn't much on Google today. There was a headline late yesterday talking about more layoffs or potential layoffs to come for underperforming employees. I was reading a note, it was earlier in the week, Tuesday or Wednesday this week, that was suggesting there's 80%, I think it was 80% plus employees at Alphabet don't even know what their job is at this point. So yeah, I think there's room for some trimming when it comes to that.
What in the actual, come on, son. Come on, man.
Their cafeteria must be really nice, though.
Come on. You know you can trim some costs. You already have a pretty good P, then you can definitely get a better, no, I shouldn't even joke about that, but Alphabet is relatively strong today. Let's start with that. I'd like to see it get back above 89.30. Like if it can hold up here, if the market goes, this is kind of one that I like to the upside. Like this is the exact top from yesterday, that 89.5, 90 area. So I think if we can break that, it can really go. It made a bottom, held the afternoon range, kind of the setup I was looking for a lot of these other trades. Held that, higher low, higher low. It's been trending to the upside. Now you got a pretty good wedge pattern. So if there is a breakout in the market today, in the afternoon or in power hour, this one's set up pretty nicely. I know Amazon's making some moves as well. For me, I'm kind of preferring Alphabet here, so maybe off of VWAP on a dip or consolidation long. This is one I think I want to be trading. In addition to, I'm kind of watching that ORIC, I don't know what else to call it, ORIC. I'm watching that small cap just in case it makes some moves. It's kind of barcoding, but if that moves, I'd like to be interested in it. In that, GameStop's making some interesting moves there. So I was educated. Yeah, it's the issue with AMC being Amy, and then GameStop is Jimmy. So I guess that's one of these things that happen online. It's Jimmy and Amy. I think it was, I forget who it was around here that calls it Amy and Jimmy, but that's where it comes from. And thank you guys for reminding me. So yeah, I'm looking at Jimmy as well, but definitely going to be trying to go long on Alphabet. Like I'm thinking VWAP, I'm thinking breakout this 89.5, but I definitely want this market to go. And Kevin just said the second I mentioned ORIC, it dropped. So I had ORIC on the long. I had like this, I worked into it, 6, 590s, looked like it was going, got some out at 610, and then it slammed to the downside. I got stopped out. And then I remember like right after that, it's like Sharif started working the short. Good short, that's all I got to say, because that's a failed breakout at 6, consolidation lower, and like as I'm getting stopped out, that's usually where I'd be thinking short off that $6 area. And by the way, I paid for shorts on this. So this morning, I feel like the ORIC shorts were like 16 cents, or it was expensive, like 10 or 11 cents a share. Something I was kind of like, I don't want to. Then it was like 4 cents when I last checked. So I've got my locates on this. And then the other one we're looking at that had expensive locates. XPawn. XPawn, yeah. They're like way cheaper now as well. So I've got some locates on that XPON. If I would have shorted that this morning, but I didn't pay for the locates. That was a mistake on my part, obviously.
16 cents per share on a $3 name.
Yeah, but look at what happened to it. We had this conversation.
But you don't know that's going to happen.
We had this conversation before because we were both long. You were in it too, right?
No. Oh, well, yeah. The $3 long against the 280. Yeah.
Right. So we're done the rundown. So we're going to talk about XPawn right now because this was maybe the greatest short setup that you will ever see. Well, now I'm just overstating things, but this was about as good of a short. That's better. About as good of a short setup as you're ever going to find. Now we talked about going long 3 off of 280 at the open. I'm like, if it dips into here and doesn't break 280, I like the 3. Run to the high of the day, but make sure you pay yourself out because if it fails the top, it could get ugly. So I had the long at the open, and in seconds, if you watch the tape of the morning, it was like, oh my goodness, the stock is going, like bang, we're at the high of the day. And then like maybe a few seconds later, I'm talking about how it's resisting a halt at the top and I'm already getting reloaded and I'm out. I'm like, okay, well, that's usually a very obvious I want to think about the shorts right now because it really failed that breakout. Consolidates off the 3 area, gives you the 290 short, goes 10 cents past 3, and has been falling all day. But I didn't pay for locates because they were 16 cents a share, and at the time, I was going for a long, and that seemed like it was expensive unless it was going higher. So I wasn't ready to go short, and now I am because it's 4 cents a share, and if it pops, I'm going to take it at VWAP.
All right, I mean, we're done. The rundown. So I'm just going through some stuff that the chat.
Stop shopping for Audis, by the way.
What are we even talking about? Where is
everybody? So let's first of all, everybody that watched there as you were doing the weather because you think that AMC is so boring. Oh. even though it was like the most exciting stock yesterday to trade was AMC and Ape in the morning, but. As you were going through and checking out the weather,
the ad was on the side.
The Google ad was for an Audi, and then we all understand that they know. Like, let's be real. Like, they run the world, and there's no way that ad is randomly showing up.
It's not for me. I'll tell you that much.
Congratulations on your new Audi purchase. I happen to think that, if you have a family vehicle, which I do, then the A3 is all you need to beat around because you don't need a heck of a lot of car. I think it's a fantastic ride. I may or may not have just got one myself recently in last year. So that's how I roll. And welcome to the party, Arun. Or maybe you're just getting one for your wife. I don't know.
She'll love that. No.
Cat's out of the bag, bro.
The answer is no.
Cat's out of the bag.
Okay. Going back to somebody was talking about crude. That threw me off. I was like, where's the reference to Audi? And then I realized it was on the side of the page there. Anyways, crude 80. You guys were mentioning crude, but the reason I'm bringing it up now is we're about to close up in about a few minutes. At least most of the volume is going to dry up after the next 4 minutes or so, around 2:30. Remember, we were looking at 80 by 79 on the bottom, right? We were sitting right about here around 8:30 in the morning. We either get above 80 and stay above 80 and then kind of trade, or we don't. And in today's case, what it seems to happen is get above 80, got as high as 80.30 something, failed, tried again, twice, and then here we are now at 79.40. So it doesn't look like crude is going to make any sort of a move. I guess we're going to be stuck with a 2.2% range long or upside day on crude here. But I think with the day getting quiet, as you can see, this floor has gotten really quiet. Most people are gone at this point, and
it's a huge storm coming.
Yeah, it's a huge storm coming. So that's why I was watching the Weather Network, guys, or just at least watching the weather, because the thing is, we think about weather in terms of, yeah, we got to figure out what to, whether we're going to go home or not. But you got to factor in, if the weather is also bad where these exchanges are actually running volume, things get quiet. Although a lot of it is electronic still, or majority of it is electronic, it can still get very, very quiet. So I was just in New York, and they're getting rain from what I understand. They're not getting snow. But at the same time, if the weather's really raining, like really bad, and it's going into a long weekend, do you really want to stay the extra a little bit? Push off everything to your junior traders, have them close out your positions and take off, right? So that's kind of what I would also consider as we get into the end of the day. If it's getting worse, if it really is getting worse in places where a lot of volume needs to be moved, I think you may have you're going to get this kind of action, which is sideways action. Anyways, crude underneath the 80. Keep an eye on it for another day. Today really doesn't matter, but I do think that 80 is still going to be in play. Just keep an eye on it, on how we come back on Tuesday and start trading. Crude is NYMEX. Yeah, it would still fall under. When it goes into the long weekends, there's like a weird schedule in terms of Globex trading, because all these electronic contracts are under Globex. So there's like a half day / couple hours of trading on a holiday kind of thing. So although there's going to be very little volume done, technically they're still open, but no one really trades it kind of thing. So just be aware, you may be seeing a chart on Tuesday where there might be like a little bit of trading that was done on Monday, just in case you ever see those contracts. You might see it in the futures too. But anyways, this is crude right there. And there really isn't a whole lot left. I don't see any charts that make any sense that I would want to get involved with at the moment. Futures market's gone somewhat quiet. Tesla's just completely dead. I will say this about Tesla. I do think the way it's been trading, remember, we went for the long here on Tesla initially, well, short, and then flipped to a long and then got out around 125. That 125 is holding extremely well. So I'm considering the possibility of doing a very tight shot on the short side, 125 against 126, to see if we can't get back to 122. That's the only thing I can think of that might work.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about with Alphabet. Like in the other direction, like I like this 89 because of the tight range that we're in. But I want to get to a couple of things here, and I'm not going to start with you, Playmaker. I'm going to finish with you, brother. But Darwin, I want to thank Darwin, member for 18 months. Thank you very much. Happy holidays all. Let's get Neil and code 5,000 likes for Neil's birthday on Monday. So I was born on Boxing Day, which if you're American, Boxing Day doesn't mean anything, but that's the 26th, the day after Christmas. So I will be celebrating my 25th birthday on Monday. So if you want to give 5,000 likes, that'll make me very happy to be sure. But I have to go from something happy to some utter nonsense. Playmaker, we always thank you for the 305 super chats. You guys, Neil, you guys' sweater game is weak. Look at mine. Now, first of all, Arun's Christmas sweater is amazing. It's got a bell on it, for crying out loud. I'm representing Shawn, who's not here, and Luca with the make him a toy he can't refuse. You know, Italian Godfather. You guys probably get that. But here's what Playmaker says is better. Just come to my chart. Just come to my screen for a quick second here, because this is his idea of what is actually better, and it just so happens to be flashing Dallas. We get it. You're a Cowboys fan. I showed it. You get the love. But you know what? This Fahad just said what I was going to say. That is definitely an ugly sweater. I'll give you that much. That's about all it is. But it's not a Christmas
There's
sweater.
no Christmas colors in there, but I guess then again, Dallas doesn't have any Christmas colors.
And you know what? They're going to get coal in their stocking as well. My bold prediction, here's the bold prediction, this is bold, is that my man Gardner Minshew is going to pull off the win in... Sharif, you're not on anymore. This is our show now. It's our show. So Sharif's a Dallas fan too. But look, Gardner Minshew is going to go into Dallas. He is going to throw 2 touchdowns to Dallas Goddard, which I hope he does because I didn't start Evan Ingram. Thanks, guys. But yeah, we're going to go Gardner Minshew in Dallas for the W, 3 touchdowns, 200 yards, a crazy mustache, and some jorts after the game because that's how he rolls. So I don't see a heck of a lot that I like other than this Google here, but I do want to get to, I thought I was going to look for a GME trade, but I think I jinxed the stock. Like, I should have just shut up and not even brought up GameStop. Because the second I said it, look at what it's doing. It just fell right into VWAP. Yeah, well, that breakout's not happening anymore. Sorry if you were long this thing. Like, I didn't do anything. It's not my fault. But it looked like it was going to try and go. And, you know, I might as well, it's not going to happen now, but it looked like it was going to take a challenge at this 21 level. And then there was maybe like a late day squeeze potential happening and a rally. Now it just has to maybe give you something off 20 because the short's gone. I'm not really sure I see anything there. Kevin asking about Micron. So I had Micron today for the reversal. And I'm not really, you're thinking Micron testing 50. You know what? Yeah, maybe. Because that 50 level is the big level. I was short in front of it. We went long. It got to 50-50. The reload was no good. But I probably gave that up too early because it held VWAP. The problem with just looking at the 50 level now is once you've made the break, so short off resistance, like this is your level. The shorts work all day yesterday. Every single time you had it, it worked. Then you shorted originally off the open, at least I do, and it loses. The long goes up, and then all of a sudden you have a different trend forming. The 50 doesn't matter. Like, it mattered when it was unbroken or when it was breaking out. But on the way back in, like, the market didn't care about it. It ends up holding just VWAP, and then the buyers coming in at VWAP. So I'm inclined to say that 50 can break. It's still a long if it goes to, like, you know, 49.90. Like, the channel would be, if I'm scalping it, 49.90, give it to 80s, maybe 85s, you go long and give it to that, and then work the trade in here so you'd have like 30 cent worth of a range instead of going long 50, because if you go long 50, you're giving it 20 cents. And right now it's traded for, how long has this thing been trading? We're talking about a half an hour that it's got a 15 to 20 cent range. So if you go long here, you're not wrong for 25 cents in my opinion, but the range of the last half an hour is less than 25 cents. I don't know how that makes for much of a trade because now you're holding it for the high of the day and wanting the market to go. That's why I'm preferring Alphabet here. I just think that sets up a little bit better if I can get the bottom end of this range because it's a tighter stop. It's got better runway to this 89.30 if I can get 89s, and then high of the day's higher, and it's a relatively stronger stock. So I'll be on the bid at VWAP maybe on Micron there. Still looking for some shorts. I know Meta's making some moves. Overall, I'm kind of running on here. But Meta's making some moves, but it's close to that resistance. And to me, it needs to get to that high of the day. And I almost think it's a fade off the high. A little bit too high to be chasing that one for the long side of the trade. And Xpawn, I see you guys are talking about that one. I'm just I'll go to any stock you want to talk about, especially if I've already looked at it. It's starting to go. I'm canceling these because it looks like it's maybe more valid. Forget about VWAP here. Like when it was making this move, I thought about VWAP. But at this point, you kind of draw a trend line. I'm not going to, but you're looking at more like a 250 area. You want it to fail down here, give it to the recent high, and then just play that risk to reward. So I was looking to short this pop. The volume is putrid on this move. Not like that means like not a lot. That's actually, oh, you still can't see the volume. Sorry, guys. Now you can see. So on that last little spike up, not a heck of a lot of volume for some follow through on that move. So that's why I'm inclined to be fading this one, at least for now. I mean, it doesn't mean that it can't break out, but when I play these off the bottom, I want to see it break a level, consolidate higher, and then I can play that next consolidation, and then you can run. Until it breaks the trend, I'm always thinking short.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the chat, see what you guys are talking about, because I got nothing, right? The only thing I could maybe, I mean, I already mentioned Tesla potentially in front of 125. I really don't have a whole lot. Futures market still flirting with the 60s, mid 50s, low 60s, so we're really not getting much traction there. Let's go to the ES chart. Let's just see if there's any sort of, yeah, we're in the zone that we need to be in for potentially topping out situation here. We can still catch a bid. I'm not saying that we can't catch a bid. I just think that, remember from this morning, we were saying potential longs through the bottom, potential shorts through the top, and then you just range play it through the middle, right? 75 up top, 20 down below. And we've kind of gone through that entire range and haven't really gotten anywhere. Let's see, what do you guys got? IMRN, sure, I'll take a look at that. What do we got here? Up 36%, that's not doing anything, that's not gonna work. Oh, Microsoft, that's a big name. That's a big name that was in play. I think earlier today, we were looking at it as it was heading down to yesterday's low, and they did a quick U-turn. So let's get rid of this, some of these old levels. One thing I will say about Microsoft, though, especially with Apple too, although Apple did take out the low of yesterday, Microsoft, as this is a gap. That whole 235 area, there's a massive gap here going between November 9th and 10th. And usually with gaps, yeah, gaps get filled, but at the same time, gaps are an unknown because there's no volume traded there, right? So when you get there, you essentially are going to be in a situation of price discovery. At what point is buying going to step in somewhere in that gap? And this is a big one, right? From 235 going all the way down. If you're going to go after the highs of the previous day, you're looking at about 228, 229. So you're looking at about $6 at least in terms of gap fill that needs to be done, and this market's catching a bid at 234. Okay, so I would definitely pay attention to Microsoft because of this gap. What does this allow for? A lot of space. If you start moving below 234, you know you're kind of, you know what your downside targets are, right? Below 234, you can probably get to 232, 230 before you start hitting support, not because of there's technicals or existing support levels, but because of the just sheer gap, right? And there's nothing there to be paid attention to. So we just kind of be aware of the fact that there's a gap right through here, and that's that. I just keep an eye on it because this kind of a setup does lead to a decent move. The only thing, though, for you to get the technical solid setup, it would need to get above 246, and I think we're a ways away from that. Keep in mind, though, next week, it's a 4-day week. It's going to be into the end of the year. This year as a whole, if I were to put the futures contract on a weekly chart, it is unusually, well, not unusually, this is pretty obvious that it's negative, right? That's the beginning of the year. That's January. And, you know, this is on a weekly chart. So that's a very clear trend that we're following to the downside. And it's been, you know, we've tried to bounce a few times here, but at the same time, the trend is there. We started the year off close to 4,800, and here we are kind of ending the year. Not yet, but at least as of right now, we're at 38 and change, 38 and a half. So negative year window dressing. Could we run this up on a window dressing as portfolios need to be kind of, you know, caught up and made to look real nice going into the new year? So I would just definitely be aware that going into a 4-day week with a year that's been down, there could be a decent rally. As you say, as you heard Michael Knott say earlier today, it's, you know, technically the Santa Claus rally starts today, going into the next couple weeks, he said, right? So
As long as it doesn't take place on XPawn.
as long as it, that's because
I just got into XPawn, but like the market, there was just a little bit of a bounce. I see like a lot of people started throwing symbols out there that are starting to go. Nvidia starting to go, Apple starting to go. There was a couple of other ones I'm going to forget about. Actually, that little pump up got me short in the 40s on XPawn. I'm not going to add to it yet because I'd like better closer to 50s, but let's get to what's actually moving here. You know, obviously I wanted to trade some range bound, and I like that Apple 131. I don't know if I'm going to get that coming back in here. And same thing with Alphabet. Like, we're starting to break higher, getting to that high of the day. So I don't get those 89s. I'll still take them if we come back in. But now as we're going up towards some of these tops, this is NVIDIA breaking. Maybe not as good of a break. I'm not really that interested in NVIDIA. You know, the amount I have left of Intel, I guess I didn't talk about Intel. Shorted Intel today twice, both times off the top. I'm just holding on to the last of it. I have about like 20% left of the trade that I was holding for low of the day because it gave you low of the day first time. But until it gets up to 26.20 or so, no need to make a decision or reload for me. But we are getting a bit of a rally, so I want to look for some of these longs. It's just I don't love the notion of a breakout at this point. So if the market's going to stay range bound, I feel as you get to the tops, I want to take some shots fading off the highs. 118.50 on Meta is going to make some sense. I always just check out to see where a firm is at, just in case there's a short trade setting up. There isn't. Lucid from this morning. Oh my goodness, Lucid. What in the actual, forget about Lucid. Why am I even ever looking at the stock anymore? How is it possible that the market just bounced a little bit? Lucid is trading in a 4-cent range for the last 2 hours. Okay, forget I even brought up Lucid. That stock is gone. And just to see if GameStop bounced, because I'm still interested, it's now consolidating off VWAP. So it wicked, broke VWAP. If it can hold here, I might take a shot. Risk to reward could be tight here, like a 26, 27 long, give it 10, 15 points, see if it has a bit of a rally in it. I just want to take shots where risk is defined, and I think the upside potential is going to be there.
Yep. As you can see, when it gets quiet, we really don't do a whole lot. But Fahad and I just trash talk each other going back and forth in our chat.
What's
no, this is not. This is our chat. He said something about, remember when I was talking about the weather?
Oh,
and
yeah.
he was so caught off guard. He's like, oh, I need to, spend more time talking about levels and whatnot. And I'm just like, hold on, what is it? Yeah, okay. He said, learn how to speak about a stock for more than 30 seconds. And I'm just like, you need to be able to spell what you want to talk about.
Fahad, I'd like to see you do it.
Because you know what he said? When he said, he typed it out, he couldn't spell levels in the chat that I have with him. So I'm like, you need to be able to spell what you want to talk about first. And then he's like, autocorrect. And then I'm like, remember, crawl, walk, and then run. And then he's like, no, I just go get
You want the hot seat, Fahad? Is that what you want?
Put him up. Oh,
You want the lights? Okay.
it ain't hot.
Fahad he's just talking all kinds of smack. And look,
he
I
loves
see
it. I
John
love it too.
Mark,
I need some
John Mark in
entertainment.
the chat, Arun versus Fahad. I got my money on Arun. I mean, let's put it this way. That's the kind of bet that Vegas wouldn't even give odds on, right? It's like if you ever what? I'm just saying, like, sometimes there's bets that don't, like, if you ever, back in Federer's heyday, if you would ever check the line on, like, what are the odds, like, Federer makes a quarters or some nonsense in a tournament, like, you're not going to make any money betting on the guy. Like, good luck in his prime betting on, yeah, Floyd's going to win. I'm like, yeah, that's great. You're not going to make any money betting on Floyd Mayweather because, quite frankly, it was just a guarantee that the guy was going to pull it off. So that's what it's about, Fahad. So unfortunately, I don't see anything crazy.
I got it. Since it's been a slow day, guys, this is your opportunity to throw in the chat. What do you got to say to Fahad? Trash him if you can. Just throw it in there. Fahad's as hot as my tea. I don't know. There's nothing in there, so it's not that hot. So something like that. Just throw it in there because I want to read this and entertain myself. Because, Fahad's sitting there just chilling. He's going to boost his ego. Oh, yeah, he's like, I like it when you guys talk trash about him. No, he doesn't. If he did, then he wouldn't open his mouth. But he can't stop, he can't keep his mouth closed. So.
Oh, my goodness, I'm going to kick myself. Shawn will be mad at this one. So someone, who just said this? I want to make sure I get it right. Someone just mentioned, take a look at TAL and EDU. By the way, this chat is blowing up, and they're like, oh my goodness. It's like half of it is who is Fahad. I love Fahad. Fahad likes Bitcoin. Fahad is the Sasquatch. I think he's the Pokeroo. This is getting out of hand.
Yeah, really good one. No, apparently one of them was Fahad.
Fahad is a fool. Let's see Fahad trade live.
No,
what is a Fahad?
no, not like
Fahad
that.
is my dad. Fahad is a legend in his own mind.
No.
I'm just reading what I see.
No, guys, I need to rephrase this. You guys get witty. Like, get witty with it.
Let him trade. I just let him trade right now.
Let him trade right now?
Does he have a trading account? I don't know. But okay, so anyways, I was going to try to talk about a stock. It's a trading show. I wanted to talk about EDU and TAL. If I'm allowed to, if it's okay with you guys.
I mean, I think the best one, this Fahad told me this in his ear. I mean, Fahad told me in my ear that one of them was, I hate Arun as much as I hate Fahad. And that was, good job. I love that one. That one's great. It just means that you hate Fahad too, so I'm all for that.
Oh my goodness. So please, Neil. Okay, short Fahad. No, short EDU is what I should have done. I did say this the other day, that when I was just looking at this chart of EDU and TAL, and look, we understand when regulations hit the Chinese education companies that they got it bounced. Now this reverse split, but they caught just a ridiculous bit. When the market's doing what it's doing for risk on, and you have a name that's that depressed that makes this kind of a move, look at this on the daily. Like, it's just insane. And look at it, wicks 40 in yesterday's trade, and then puts on, that's your ultimate like wick top. You call it a head and shoulders, I don't know, whatever name you want to give it to. By the way, I just got Jimmy on the break, so I can't believe I'm saying Amy and Jimmy. All of a sudden I'm doing it now. I got GameStop just there on the break.
Is that Eddie then?
But EDU, look at it. You got to break down. I should have been looking at this for a short. I don't know if there's anything happening unless 38 breaks. Maybe it continue to flush. But guess what? Some things are working here. We just got XPON, Ponderiva. Anyways, got some at 240, 230, 220, 210. That's where my outs are going to be. I already got 230. Got the bid at 220. Going to get a 210 bid out there. So you know what? Maybe it is going to be a relatively slow afternoon, but you can still ring the register on things that have movement. With any luck, GameStop will be one of them, but I feel like hoping for a GameStop, not really hoping for a squeeze. I said if it breaks this consolidation, stop at the bottom, see if it can run higher. So I'm in it at 28. We'll see if it can get maybe even halfway up there. I'll throw an offer in front of 50, get something. That's too far. What am I doing? It's not that kind of a day. I'll get one in front of 50, but I should have one a little bit tighter just to make some bank if it goes even a little bit more, and then get one on the north side. If it gets high of the day, I'd like to see if I can hold some up there, but I just feel these structured trades are pretty much what it's going to be here today. I know where my stop has to be here on GameStop. I almost said Michael. Michelle Hebert reminding me GameStop max pain is 2050. Well, that's one of the reasons why I want to make sure I get some out in front of that 2050 area, right? Like, it's been a bit of a pivot where you've been breaking above, and you get that, I don't know the term you use for, like you get rejection of the key price level, then you get consolidation, breaks away, but when it doesn't hold it, it runs away from that price. Generally speaking, when you see that and you're long into it, you want to take profit in front of that level, and then if it breaks that level, you want to hold on to some. Because what can happen is, so if I get these in front of 2050 and then it consolidates, when it breaks it, I think it should go. Like even take out that high. So I want to hold on to some in case I get that break, but I want to pay out in front of said 2050 level. I'm seeing Upstart people are talking about. Well, that's a good one. Samuel Benjamin, Fahad microwaves tinfoil. Okay. You know, the other day I'm doing the dishes, so I do the dishes in my house, and I see like the tinfoil there. I'm like, I go to my wife, I'm like, what am I doing with this? She's like, you can wash it and reuse it.
Huh?
I'm like, huh? I'm like, is this, you guys let me know, is this a thing? Do you, like, look, I'll be the first person to understand, like, I'm trying to save the environment when I can. Like, I'll waste less, but is washing tinfoil and reusing it a thing?
No, it's just
because I'm like, it's gonna tear if I wash this. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, there's reusable things that you can do instead of tinfoil, or use instead of tinfoil that you can wash and whatnot. I don't think there's one
I'm like, what am I, like, it's gonna tear, like, of course it's gonna tear.
You can use tinfoil, like, okay, I used it one time, it was a small piece of chicken or something small, and that it's not that dirty or not that oily, then you can reuse it for like another thing of similar meat, whatever, that same day. Not another day, that same day. You use it a few hours later, fine.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, people are like, you can recycle it. I'm like, yeah. Like, what am I gonna wash it and reuse it for? Okay, so anyways, this is not about me trying to have one over and be like, just so I can go home tonight and tell my wife that I was right. I might do it, but I probably will actually. I'll be like, the chat told me, the chat said I was right. It's not even about me saying I told you so. The chat said it. That way I'm not going to get in trouble. So GameStop starting to go into the upside. Seriously? Watch TP so you can reuse it. Okay, you don't have to make fun of me over this now. I'm just saying, like, I wanted to get the answer on it.
Here's a good one,
because I thought it was weird. I didn't think it was normal. I thought it was weird myself.
Weird.
So GameStop going up, XPON going down. With the market still range bound, I just want to make sure that you guys, a couple of things I'm still looking at here. Google's coming back into the downside. I'm monitoring up here, but as it comes down, I'm still looking for that 89 bid, which I will take if I get it. I'm probably going to get some bids out on Intel. Yeah, this Intel, I mean, it's above VWAP. Every now and then, Intel just looks a little stronger than I want it to be, so it comes back into VWAP. I'll start taking more of this out. You can't hold on to these forever, and it's getting close to power hour, and you're not getting a lot of movement, so I'll get some bids down in front of VWAP here just to make sure that I'm banking some of the profit, or more of the profit, I should say, on this one.
Yeah, I'm going through the chat. There's another good one in there. Fahad eats pizza with a knife and fork. One thing I will say, the European way to eat pizza is with a knife and fork. There's nothing wrong with that. But the way Fahad eats pizza, his type of pizza, no, he shouldn't be eating with a knife and fork. He also, like, his taste in pizza is pretty bad. From what you heard that conversation.
We had a long conversation about pizza.
Well, that's how they eat it in Europe, unsliced. Yeah, you're nothing special, Fahad. Stop trying to be extra. He's like, I like my pizzas unsliced, the whole circle. I'm like, yeah, that's how they eat it in Europe, man. They don't slice it. You got to cut your own pizza, your own little sliver with a knife and fork. That's how it's done.
In fairness, with the knife and fork, if you're eating deep dish, I mean.
No, but like in Europe, are you going to get deep dish? No, you're going to get those like really.
Chi-town.
No, well, that's a different story. But anyways, what are we talking about? Futures.
I love Chicago, by the way. Not necessarily all the teams. It's a great city. That's all.
All right. Tesla, I talked about. I was mentioning to you guys Tesla 125 holding up well. I was thinking about potentially getting some shorts. Well, I have some for now. It's in front of that 125. I got 124.87 against 126. I'm just looking for a late session push back down towards that 122. That's the entire play, right? I'm already up on Tesla, so if I'm going to put up $1 and change, $1.20, $1.30 maybe with some slippage. And I can get back down to 122, that's 2-to-1 payout, right? So let me just see if I can get that move. When you get into the end of the day on a quiet day, that's where you start seeing some activity. It's only 250 right now. I would say roughly 330-ish going into the end of the day should bring activity, if any. If there's anything left, I would imagine it comes in the final half hour. So that's kind of what I'm playing for here. A late session push back down towards the lows on Tesla. See if you can get that 120 taken care of today. And if not, I guess next week's going to be an interesting one as the year ends and Tesla, dare I say, up or down, guys, on this, 125. Do we end up at 150? Are we going to end up closer to 150 or to 100 is going to be the question I'm going to put out for you guys on Tesla. So are we 25 up or 25 down, or whichever side is going to be closer from this point on? Because it does look like this market wants to, at least this stock wants to kind of stabilize here around that 125.
Oh my goodness, so this is the kind of market you're in. Like when you're watching paint dry, you put an offer out, it goes to your price, and then it just backs away, and I want to cancel the offer. GameStop got to like 30, it just got up to like 37, 38, it saw 40s, and now it's turning around. This is the kind of market we're in. Like it could still channel up, but scalping out of something when that's sort of the problem. Like if there's not a lot of liquidity, like you almost need it to get into the range you want out. Instead of having an offer, this is kind of what I'm thinking right now. Instead of having an offer sitting here in front or at 40, it's like let it trade into that price. Why am I even saying this? Let it trade into that price, and then once it gets there, just hit the bid and then punch out of the stock instead of sitting there waiting for it to get there. Because there's not a heck of a lot of volume. So it's almost like you want the liquidity to come up there, and then you want to try to get out once they show up on the bid. We'll see if that even happens. Apple's starting to go. But I don't know, if you showed the futures, like this is
nothing.
Like look at, and like, this is a 15-minute chart on the ES, so it's not like you're going to see a crazy amount of action relative to yesterday, but look at the channel that we're in here. This is why I'm thinking scalp mode. Like if I get 10 cents on the first leg of GameStop, yeah, I'll take it. You know, I mean, 10 cents on a $2 stock is fine. if you can get a good scalp trade here, you want to make sure you do it, because unless we break out of this, like, forget it. Like 10, 15 handles worth of a range is nothing in the futures. And that's what we're seeing right now. So you got to think Scalp Central. Thank you, Grant. Happy pre-birthday. I appreciate it. You know, what I love about this year, so I kind of said the other day that Boxing Day is a bad day to have a birthday. But, you know, I'm sort of saying that along the lines of the whole, when you're a kid, you know, the whole recycled toys, and you don't really have parties. But truth be told, it's actually the best time to have a birthday in a lot of ways, because I'm guaranteed that I always get to be around the people that I love on my birthday. And on top of that, like, all my boys and like all my friends that have moved on and gone to other places, like, we're all from the GTA. Like, a lot of them will be back in town visiting on the holidays. So now when I'm older, it's like everybody's back in town. I get to see all my friends in and around my birthday, and everyone wants to do stuff. Like, I was just talking to a buddy who's, you know, he's away and he's coming back in, and we're gonna probably link up next week. And that's the fun part about it. Like, it's guaranteed, because it's the holidays, that I get a chance to at least spend it with family, and everybody's locked into that whole mode of having fun. It just sucks when you're a kid, because birthday parties, I mean, quite frankly, I'll say it. Like, when I was a kid, I just almost never had a birthday party with my friends on my birthday, because it's Boxing Day, man. No one was doing anything. Get to the upside, GameStop. This is ridiculous. All I'm looking for is one move. Just go. It's trying to go. You want to go, but it just won't go anywhere. I
mean, that's the thing. You can't force anything either. Like, let's be real. If I wasn't on this show, I wouldn't be trading right now. And now, because I'm on the show, I'm finding opportunities that I may not normally take. And to be fair, Tesla is also one of those things where it's not really a technical thing. It's just, I'm just kind of trying to do the math in my head about how much time we have left in the day and what kind of day we've had. So what's the probability that we go in one direction versus the other, right? So I'm thinking that because of 125 being mid-range and the market's stalling out here, I'm thinking that we take a shot to the downside versus the upside. I could be wrong. But again, that's just what ends up happening. It's like, you could watch paint dry as well. That could be just as entertaining. Or you could listen to Fahad talk. That's also just as entertaining as watching paint dry. But it's just, we find different things to do. And right now I'm going through the chat, and there's somebody was asking about Costco. Okay, let's take a look at Costco. So very first thing I do when I pull up a chart, any chart, is going to be the daily, right? I need to figure out what I'm going to do with the daily. And from there on, I can actually figure out how much space I have to move around with a certain name. And when I look at Costco, and I'm going back all the way to June, I'm like, oh, this is a really wide range here. 440 down below. We've kind of bounced off these 450s and 440s for a little bit. And then to the upside, it seems like we were stalling around the 540 into 550. So I'm saying 570 being above it all. So maybe that's the top end of the range. So it's one of those situations where you're in a range in Costco, but the range is super wide. Why does this matter on the intraday basis? Well, this allows you to figure out how much space you have to move. This also lets you figure out how much risk you can put on a specific trade. And given the range in this case is nearly $130, there's a lot of intraday trading that can be done on Costco. Sometimes the daily is very tight. Like Meta is a very tight range. It's going to be harder to go from level to level on an intraday basis when the range is much tighter versus Costco being $130 wide. You can go from level to level and figure out another trade, right? So for me, right now, Costco 460, it's in a buy zone. It's doing what it needs to do, which is to stabilize here right through this 460 and 450-ish. And here we are. We've had a rough go of it in the last little bit. We were sitting at about 530, 540 at the end of November, and here we are down at 460 on the way down. So the fact that we're going sideways, I think you wait for this to stabilize a little bit. I think getting above where this would be, which is about 470, should actually make it seem like there's enough activity to support the bottom end. And then we could probably get going to 480. That's a decent risk profile to the upside. And then 80 and 90 to the upside, and then 500 and change. But there's a lot of space to move on Costco. That's all I'm going to say. There's a wide range. So in the intraday perspective, the wide range is not really going to make much of a difference at this point. Just be aware of it, though. 440, knowing that 450 and change going on down is the bottom end of that range. Just be aware that there's going to be some larger support plays that are going to come in. Why, like I said, when you go with the larger chart, you bring in larger players, right? Institutional money comes in at specific levels, And that's why you care about the daily and where the daily is going to be topping out or even bottoming out, because you're going to get support from other players involved.
That's what I like to see. I'm going to give the bull for that one, but also because I finally got a fill in GameStop. Hey, things can go up and you can get fills. Bounced off VWAP. It finally made that move into 40. I was able to hit the bid there to be able to get some out. And look, I'll rinse and repeat if it bounced off VWAP again. Got some orders in front of 2050. But the market's it's really trying to go to the upside. So we're like, I don't know, 5 handles away from the morning high on the ES. Apple is starting to move really far, not really far, a little farther away from that 131 dip that I liked. It's still going up. Nowhere near the resistance this morning where we had tops. That's 132.40. But there's some room to run. I think we have a chance to get going here. And this market is trying to give us some winners. And remember Alphabet. The other side of Alphabet, I like that dip into 89, was going to the 15-minute. Look at that top, 89.5. Like, you've got this double top, maybe triple top forming that if the market gets through, you could see some fall through in Alphabet. It's relatively strong. It's up 2% to a flat NASDAQ. So if it gets to top, I think there's a chance that it could definitely go. I'm seeing a lot of random stocks here. Trade Game asking about KSS. I mean, I haven't really looked at Kohl's in a while. If it'll load up here. Yeah, I'm not really seeing any. I mean, look, you see what happened yesterday. Oh, that's actually a little bit interesting. Yeah, this gets interesting. So you had this floor break at 25, and it's kind of creeping up to 25. I said I like some things short in front of resistance. Let's have a look at the daily chart. So trend down, 25 previous support, coming back up. So if it fails at 25, that's not really that bad of a short. Like, if you were long here, you'd definitely be thinking about taking some out if it failed 25 even. So this actually looks not that bad for a rollover. The volume's not very good. But then the volume's bad everywhere, so it's not like you're going to get that many opportunities based on volume. Not a bad look. I got to manage the shorts that I have on. Intel just continues to, it's just gliding higher on me, but it's broken the channel. So understanding that it's broken this channel up, it's either, get a rollover here at the 20s, jump back into the short at 15, which is what I'm holding on to, and then work it back into the downside. Micron, which, that's still... That's just barely gliding to the upside here. Yeah, Micron, I thought this would be going a little bit more than it is with this market creeping to the upside. Amazon, apparently, people are saying is killing it. Oh, yeah, Amazon's way better. Way better, Amazon. Amazon's going to the top. So I like 89.50 on on Alphabet, but Amazon's already breaking out through the top. I'm not to throw shade on it or anything, but if Amazon cracks 86, it does have a big level at 87. That's from earlier on, but that's $1 away. And in this market, man, you worry about $1 when you can get it. So, I'm probably going to like Amazon to 85 here. I'm going to try and play this maybe the next time it consolidates, or even just take a little bit here because it's really starting to go, thinking I can always add to it in front of 85. This is a stronger one, so I want to get something involved in Amazon, not waiting around for Google too much. I keep saying Google, Alphabet too much there. Someone asking, one more trade game, woof. That stock is meh. I don't know about that. And some questions about what is a short time frame. I think the 3 minutes is a short time frame. You'll tend to see, like, I'll flip back and forth. Like, I'll look at the daily chart to check what the trend is. I'll kind of look at the levels here, zoom out of my 15-minute chart and see where the levels are at. And then I'll flip back over and show you guys the executions on the 3. Because that's a little bit easier to kind of see them. So this is a top break on Amazon. This is me saying I'll get a few shares in front of that on the top break when it consolidates, and I'll probably add to it this channel at 85. But overall, what I'm looking at on the 15-minute is, okay, you've already had support 84 and 85 before. You had that one breakdown. So when you get above that, you got to think 86, 87. If we really go, this has plenty of room to the upside. That's what makes me like to trade first, and then I'm worrying about getting into it.
Yeah, I mean, you may have seen me get out of that Tesla short. I knew I was playing against the existing trend, I guess. There is a somewhat of a micro trend that's in play here on Tesla. I was looking for that to break, right? So that's kind of the reasoning behind my short, put up $1 and change. But the issue I ended up running into is that this futures market actually broke through 70. So do I really want to be short on Tesla, knowing that I'm going against this trend? And you're absolutely right. Somebody put in the chat that there's a kind of something like this here going on. I might be wrong on getting out, but at the same time, I don't want to be short on Tesla knowing that the futures market took out 70. Now it is back underneath and we might actually break back down after I got out. That's perfectly okay. This was really not meant to, this is just one of those trades where I'm just like, there's a possibility of that based on, the risk profile of the trade. But at the same time, I don't want to hold on too long. And it looks like they are falling back off of this, I guess 50 now. They're down to the 30s and change. So futures market, this is what I was concerned about. That 70 break, I just didn't want that to accelerate north of into 75, north of 70 into 75. That could turn into a problem. Why? It's thin. The market's quiet. This is the time of day where if you take out the high, you can actually run a little bit more. So the fact that we failed here, Neil, this is starting to look quite a bit like Xpond from this morning, where they're taking out those
top.
Yeah, the failed top, the high break, failed run, and then complete reversal. So we'll see if that comes into play. But right now, they did break 70, and they failed real quick. And there goes Tesla back under 20. I guess getting out was a wrong thing to do. But again, at this point, I'm pretty much checked out in terms of trades. I don't see myself getting into too many left. There aren't too many left here, I don't think. But there goes Tesla, I guess, back to 124.
Oh, that's hilarious. Like I was just trying to get more shares on. Look how quickly that reversal is. I was just trying to get more shares in on the same candle. I'm trying to offer on the highs in Intel, and on the same candle, I'm not getting them, and then I'm getting filled at 26 on the bid. So that was a pretty harsh reversal in there. It might give me a chance to get some Alphabet. That's actually, not really. It's still ways away from that 89, so I guess I'm not really going to get that one just yet. I keep seeing someone, keeps asking about Upstart. 30% short interest, squeeze is coming. So look, short interest is a pretty solid catalyst in terms of, the thing about short interest is it's like accelerant, like you need to start a fire. Anyways, when you start the flame, it just gives more juice to the move. Kind of like how if you get a stock that was SSR the day before, and not to jump from topic to topic, but trust me, this matters. When you get a stock that is SSR before, what can be like a harmless break can turn into a bit more of a trend. Like GameStop, there's nothing to GameStop today, but it goes short sell restricted because it's down over 10%. So a huge capitulation down. Then when it's SSR today and you can't hit the bid, suddenly when it comes back into support, it holds the 20 level a little bit better and holds these breakdowns, and suddenly you might get some support. Now, I'm probably going to reload if it can hold this level here, but that's the issue with Upstart is if it can get going, then yes, I would tell you it's got a bit of a chance, but it's doing nothing. It's holding 13 without any kind of a reason for it to break out. Then nothing's really going to happen here. And you can sort of see what's been going on with the daily chart. Yeah, okay, a recovery day is going to be good. But typically, the way that I think a move would happen on a stock like this would be you get this easy downward trend, breaking support, but there hasn't really been that one capitulation down day on Upstart when I look at this trend. Like you had it here, so steady down, bang, gets crushed. Then what happens? Makes a harsh bottom, and then the next 2 days you're up almost a double up. It's been way too steady to the downside. Like my mentality when I'm shorting stocks against a trend is, well, you want to make sure you're getting it after it overextends itself on one of those crazy moves. This is just going linear to the downside. Linear moves, I'm not really looking for turnarounds or crazy moves when it's going in that linear move. You want to see it make that big flush down day, which thanks to you, I'm going to start looking for on Upstart. That is so general downtrend. One day it breaks channel down, goes 10%, and then it's the day after that, or maybe that day at the bottom, that you're going to look for that bigger move. Hopefully that helps, but I'm not seeing a trade on it right now. But there's always, the thing is, doing this long enough, what I've found is it's almost impossible to look at a stock and not find something that you can glean from the information in front of you. It might mean if X and Y happens, this could be a good trade, but that might be all that's out there. I don't see a trade in it right now, but I see something like if it did this move, I'd be looking for what we saw the last time. Like I'd look to see for that capitulation and then jump in the next day. So there's a setup there. I just, unfortunately, maybe not what you wanted to hear. I don't see a long in it right now. So no trade for Upstart for me. Like I said, I'm getting more shares out of Intel. Trying to catch a bid here on Google, that's the name of the stock. And AMC is flushing, someone just said. Well, I got ticked out of Ape, so that makes a lot of sense to me. This was what just happened on Ape.
Oh, you got short? And it bounced on you right away?
No, I got stopped out.
Oh, you got stopped out. Ooh.
That sucks. I mean, it's 15 cents, but like, really? Really? Anyways, so that just happened to me on AMC. I had taken profit on it, so it's not like it's a losing trade. Like, I was long several times here, and it is trending down, but nobody ever wants to make bottom wick. And quite frankly, I always say this too, like, you shouldn't, whether you're holding half the trade or the last 10% or all of it, like, you know, I'll go back to Ape here for a second. Regardless of the amount of shares you're holding back, if you've already scalped out and you're holding a small piece, you shouldn't care. A good execution is a good execution, and a bad execution is a bad execution. Like, you should be pissed off and be like, well, did I really stop this outright? Like, if you had a small amount and it didn't cost you anything, then what's going to happen is you're not going to care about what happened here, and you're not going to analyze what you could have done differently. If you treat every decision as an important decision, then I'm going to look at this and be like, well, what the hell, Neil? That was stupid. You should have given this a little bit more room, or you should have cared when it wicked out enough to go back over and see the wick and jump back into the trade. That's the way I look at it. It doesn't matter whether you lost a small amount. It's just really about making that quality decision the next time through. So that's why I got upset with it. It's not because I was holding a lot of shares. It's just like, what the heck? It's a bottom wick that I should have just jumped back in on, or could have just held it right through.
Yeah, it's easy for that to happen in quiet markets because, like, it's, again, stops going to get hit. We saw this with the futures market above 70 as well. Let's go to my chart here, guys, and take a quick look at futures. People were asking, Fahad, stop talking, go to my chart. There you go.
I thought you were done talking about the stock already.
Fahad over there slacking. Okay, so we took out the 70s here. And what I'm keeping an eye out for is somebody's like, oh, well, why don't you share your futures trade? I don't have any trades today. I had ideas of trades, but nothing ever was set up enough for me to actually take a trade. So I was just like, okay, 70 break going into the end of the day. If we're going to look for activity, we're going to look for volume, this is when it would show up, right? In the last little bit. Final hour, sure. Final half an hour, most likely. So if we're going to start to fail around these 70s, and we're in the zone, we're in the right zone for us to find action up top. So if we can actually start to reject this little, whatever this bounce is here one more time, if we can get back underneath 75, I think I might open something up towards the end of the day, see if we can get a move right at the end, see if some selling doesn't come in right at the end there. We are at the top end of the range. Going into a holiday, could we sell off a little bit? Maybe. But I think if we're in the right spot with the right setups, then I think we take that shot. Definitely we take that shot if we can get the right setup. As of right now, we're just in the zone, but we're not ready to go just yet on the short side of things. So for now, the market still's got some strength. For whatever reason, it still has a bid. And there it goes to the upside. We've gone through those PCE numbers. We've gone through some consumer sentiment numbers, and we're still trending to the upside, it seems like. So with that being said, Tesla, what are you doing? 124, bouncing off the 124s, which kind of sits right into the bottom of the range here. So there really isn't a whole lot left in terms of range play action to the downside. All you can really hope for on Tesla is that we actually break through and actually continue this extension down towards 122. Again, I'm not holding my breath on it. So I don't think imbalances are going to be that big as well. I mean, think about it. It's a Friday going into a long weekend. Do we really expect imbalances to be that big? It'd be really surprising if imbalances came out big. That would surprise, I think, a lot of people and catch a lot of people off guard. So if you had a decent sized imbalance in any individual index name, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, even Tesla is up there as well. If you got a large imbalance, you're going to start to see these futures markets move in a big way towards the end, but highly unlikely. And there goes Tesla now, taking another look towards these low, above 123.5, but somewhere in the 80s and 90s. So we'll see if we can't get going just a touch more.
So I got to read this one from Anthony Kerr. I heard Fahad took a sip of someone's water, and when he sat back down, it was a glass of wine.
How dare you, Anthony Kerr? Don't give him that kind of credit. Come on, man.
Look, Fahad got mad because when I was reading all the Fahadisms out there, I kind of ignored any good ones. But a couple of things, you'll see XPawn came out. I did reload it, and then it looked like it was breaking channel to the upside. I have to acknowledge, double bottom, higher low, kind of looks like it's trying to grind higher, and it's a little bit of ways away from that next level of resistance. So I'll see what happens if it goes another 10 cents to the upside if I want to still reload this, but I want to hold at that 10. It only wanted to give me the first 10 cents of the move. So that's a pretty tight consolidation after a big buy. So just going to get out of that trade. I did reload GameStop off VWAP because that's still going, but I missed the Amazon dip there. So, I mean, do I need both of them? No, I can cancel the one I'm not going to get. Yeah, like I missed the Amazon dip by like 10, 15 cents. Now it's starting to go, so that kind of sucks. I could have been a little bit more aggressive, but I kind of thought in that pullback after the futures wick top that 38.70, I really did feel like I was going to get my price on Amazon, but it's still going. This is relatively strong. Apple, not as much. Like this is a lot of sideways. Like it pulled back, and now all of a sudden 131.50 is kind of feeling like it just maybe right here on Apple. Like look how tight this is starting to get on Apple. Like I almost feel like I should just be long in the 50s and give it to 40s to be part of this move. Maybe even start something in the high 50s or 60s. Like this consolidations is a bit spicy because if it breaks it upside, I think we're going higher and we can break the high of the day. But if we go down, like I'm not holding it into VWAP anyway, so risk to reward might be good. And Amazon's just continuing to break out here, so that feels like it's already gone on me.
There's good strength in the market.
I looked up at Amazon, I looked back at Apple, and that's how quickly the market will move on you sometimes when it actually gets going. And of course, the only thing I reloaded is GameStop. So you better go GameStop because some of these other longs are just, you put an order in and it just runs away from you in a market like this.
Yeah, I mean, the market's catching a bid. I mean, we're looking at potential shorts if we get underneath 65, and we're not getting it. The market's actually catching a bid. And after backing off these 70s, we are actually going to take another look at these 70s and maybe even potentially put in a new high. 72.50 is the existing high at the moment. That was a few ticks higher. How much? That's about a point higher than from the high from this morning. Let's see if we can actually get going, because we've been here before a couple times, and we haven't really caught much, but I mean, it does look like towards the end, they're catching a bid, sure. Tesla, not catching a bid. So relative weakness in Tesla. So Tesla's still underneath 124 and change, even with the futures market going back up to 70. So remember, when Tesla was at 70, 124.70 to 80, the futures market was breaking the 70s. Now Tesla's at 124 and the futures market is back to 70. So clearly Tesla does not want to participate in this up move with the rest of the market, but at the same time, we're not going short. We just need the right setup to do it. We're not getting that. So take a quick look at Apple. We know Apple was stalling out around that 130 mark this morning. Let's bring out the 30-minute chart. There you go. That's a good chart to work with too. Why? 130 has been in play because of the low going back to the 20th. We broke that today, opened up some stops down to 129.5. That's a nice bottom. You also can look at the daily and find some more action. I think if we get above 133, we should probably get going. That should be a nice solid setup, especially on the daily too, when you realize where you are on the daily, right? Going all the way back to June of this year here, the low being 129.04. Is that really 129.04? Yeah, it is 129.04. Okay, so 129.50 gets moved down. Today's 129.50 level gets moved down to 129 even, and now you have a nice little low here that is in line with going back to June. So decent action. You're finding support here, so I would definitely keep an eye on Apple, because of the action you're getting at the price points you're getting that date back 6 months in time. So a lot of interest in Apple, and Apple's the big dog too in these indexes, right? In terms of weighting, there's going to be they're at the top there at 12% in the NASDAQ. 5 or 6%, probably 6% in the S&P. So a decent amount of weight. And if Apple moves, so does the market. So definitely keep an eye on Apple. And Tesla not doing a whole lot. Let me take a quick look. What's the largest winner right now? Apple down on the day, 0.33. Amazon's up 2.
Amazon's the big one.
Amazon's a big one, yeah. Up 2.35 on the day. And so Apple and Tesla and NVIDIA, those names are decent weights in the NASDAQ, and they're all negative. Everything else is positive, and Microsoft is flat.
You know what's crazy? The other day I was like, somebody explained to me why nickel is so strong. And then I look at my quote board, as you just said, what is up on the day? And look, obviously there's small caps on there that I happen to be watching, just a few of them that I was looking at this morning, like XPawn, Ape, and that kind of stuff. But then, yeah, Nikola up 4.5%. Like, it's just really, if I look at my downside, it's like, yo, that's not too good for AMC. Look at XPeng, man. That stock is having a rough day. But Nikola. I don't know what's going on with that thing we talked about it the other day, and maybe I should have taken it a bit more seriously. I got a couple of questions about CACO here, the SPAC. And yeah, it had a bit of a move today. I don't really see what's exciting about this except short the pop. Like if I was trading this, I would have been shorting $2 today. I'll be honest with you. And the good thing about it, though, and this is now I'll say something that actually might not be bad, is if you look at where this move came from, as someone who traded penny stocks when they started out, what this did in the morning in the pre-market, which is flush, dump through a buck, like $1 low yesterday, dump through $1, consolidate off the dollar, and then run off a buck. So that's always a good start to something, and then holding the higher low. So what you want to forget about today, maybe think about next week, is if it can start holding above that 110, then you have like a runway for it to just do one of those patented moves off $1 and run higher. The issue with that trade is where the stock is coming from. It's a lot of times it's a very different setup when it makes that kind of move. Like it's coming from a slow grind down from like $3 or $4. Maybe it was at $5 a few months ago. This is just hammer down. So I'm not really sure how far this is going to go unless it squeezes. Not sure where the institutional ownership is. If it's high, then maybe it could have a little bit more runway there if it starts going, or if there's short interest, I'd check that out. It's not a bad runway, but if I was looking for the setup off 110 next week, like I'd really just be thinking, okay, grab a 110, 115. If it holds higher, maybe a breakout trade, and then just you're out of this bad boy if it gets anywhere close to 175 too. The bigger move would need some other catalyst to it, which I haven't really dug into, so I'm not sure. Market's starting to come back after it wicked that high. So maybe I'm getting Google now. No, I'm not. Amazon, let's see what's happening with the Amazon top. Still not getting that one. I'm not chasing these. This is the thing. I'm not chasing the top. You chase the top on Amazon, look what's happening to you. I don't mind getting in on the dip in this consolidation. I would suspect that when you get into any consolidation zone, the way this market is trading, you should find a little bit of support. So I don't mind being out here looking for these quarters to 30s on Amazon, maybe stepping it up a little bit if I have to, but chasing the move up top is not something I want to do. I just find that leads to, oh, you like the long? You're long here when it breaks 75, then you're long here at 60, then you're long here at 50, then you're long here at 30, and your stop's at 85, and all you've done is put on a Forex position for no reason.
All right. Every time you come to me, I'm just like, what do I talk about? There's very little going on. Futures market still working those low 60s. So let me take a quick look at the futures so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Here we go. I mean, we're here. There's not much there. All right, let me take a quick look at some index names. What we could do, though, is set up some potential trades for next week. Right? There's nothing left on the day, so let's set up some new trades for next week. Let me go through my list here. Apple, we know Apple. We talked about Apple. Amazon, let's take a quick look at Amazon. I haven't seen Amazon's actual chart just yet. On the daily, oh damn, Amazon's, ooh, got some space. This is almost like one of those situations where you let it bounce up and then fade, right? It's technically speaking.
You had to just say that, didn't you?
Are you long?
I literally just got Amazon.
No, but I'm not. No.
No, I know what you're talking about. It's just
the longer term time frame.
It's just a bad omen, man.
Yeah,
that's all. I just got into the thing. Yeah. Come on.
I'm just looking at this chart, going, okay, it's.
Hater.
The reason I start with the daily is because.
No, I know.
You need to start with how much space you have on the trade, right? Yeah. And 85 half, you have some space, so you might actually work out well to 89.
But this is a scalp trade, though. Let's be real.
So you can get 50 cents, you'll be happy with it, right?
Of course I'd be.
Yeah, okay. So like the range I'm looking at is all the way to 90. So every time we get into these moves up, every time we get a move up into the at least into the 86, 87, into this little resistance zone, then we could potentially fade this. But that's what I'm looking on Amazon. Downtrend going into resistance on a move back up. We'll see if this holds up. it could be a nice little trade to go short on. Brennan.
My Santa Claus.
There's that Axios story this morning we were discussing about NWSA and Bloomberg apparently being interested in Dow Jones. I was just reading through an article suggesting that was entirely not true. So you can see there was this volume spike just as we ended at 11 a.m. this morning on this NWSA back to the downside. It is kind of rolling over here again. But yeah, Bloomberg comes out and says this is news to us, essentially, when it comes to anything to do with NWSA.
Who reported that news?
Why does it feel like, remember the moment, anybody seen, was it Anchorman, like right in the end, when Ron Jeremy jumps into the pit, he's like, I immediately regret this decision. Like I just got in, and then he so throws shade on Amazon longs, so I just jump in on the dip buy, and then the exact, like 2 seconds after that, and this is why I was like, uh-oh. Because the same move starts happening on Apple. So on both of these, I'm tightening the stop right up here because, well, now all of a sudden, what do you have here when you're trying to chase some of these longs up top? Now you got a wick top and some acceleration to the downside, which is not the way that you want to take these trades. So I'm going to tighten up the stop, which is they're both already in. GameStop is holding up a little bit. I do want to look for some shorts. It's weird that I'm thinking Meta, but. You know, Meta at this 118 got close enough to some of those highs that it could make some sense. The other one that I was looking at was I wanted to check Micron. I'm already in Intel, but Micron is it's not really breaking down. I want something breaking down off of support. So 49.80 is not really going at this particular point. So it's got to be something else which is setting up. People are asking about. I saw someone ask about Procter. I didn't really look at that. I know you were in Procter earlier, but
Yeah, PG.
And then the other way you can look at it is, like, what's going on in the stock that's just absolutely trash today? Like, is that giving you a short off the lows? XPeng, it does seem like this would be a good short, to short any pop on XPeng. The problem is the Chinese ADRs don't always do a lot of volume at the close, but this doesn't seem all that bad. It's bounced off 10. So you could fade away from it looking for a break into the $10 area, but 10 is a bit of a wall in front. So I said I'd have a tight stop on Apple. Just given the way that I got both those longs, like it's disaster to get, like you don't want to get stubborn with this when I'm already holding Amazon. And Amazon's feel like it was a bit stronger. So if I'm going to hold on to one and look to add to one, it's not going to be Apple unless it's 131. It's going to be Amazon sort of back into this breakout price area. Like you just feel like that one going to give you more opportunity for a run here. I do have to think about, am I getting any love from my Intel trade? Not really. Couldn't add to it. Maybe I go lower high. Market got to the high, and Intel did not. So I should be willing to short a lower high here on Intel. Just add to this. Intel always gives you a good range trade. Maybe back off this bit away from VWAP. Allow it to fall. See what it can do for me. I like the fact, at least, that in this pullback, GameStop's also not moving. So it doesn't seem to care that the market has rejected that high, which means it still has a chance to give me that breakout trade. And then XPON is the other name that I'm interested in. Looks like I got wicked out. Feels pretty safe if it wants to run down from here for the short. But again, volume, trash, absolutely trash there on XPON. And someone just said, Neil, look at the 1 minute for Amazon. I don't really look at the 1 minute chart. Like the 3 is about as far as I go. Like, I mean, I'll bite. I don't know what's that different from the 1 and the 3, realistically. See, here's the thing. Like the 1 minute charts can be like, this just looks a little bit better to buy the dip. That's what ends up happening on the 1. It's not to say that it doesn't look like it's decent on the 3, but on the 3 minute chart, like it looks okay, but I want to see it consolidate a little bit higher. And 85 seems like a much more significant level. And then when I pop the 15 up to just kind of remind myself, like, what do I like about this? Well, it is, and it's hard to see, but you go a couple of days here, you go into this bottom, that's 85 quarter. You get that big rollover, that's 85 to 85 quarter. So it's at the top end of the channel that I want to buy the dip if I'm thinking about a run into the close. And I may want to give it a little bit more room. Like, I'd almost say if I buy 85s, I get an average of 85.25, which is more along the lines of what I was wanting to work with on these levels. So I don't want to buy here because that just gives me not the levels I want to work off of, unfortunately.
All right, I'm going through the chat.
Tesla
Yeah, going back to PG, actually. We were in PG this morning, right? This is kind of the play I made on PG, and I got out of it. I just didn't like what it was doing here. We were long in front of 152 and then got out when it kind of double topped, somewhat of a double top around that 152.5 area. PG, the way I was looking at it is the daily. We're above the last few days worth of closes, sitting strong, catching a bid every time we dip. So it should still technically be a long, but the support level is down to 150 now. So it gets a little messy in terms of catching the right prices. The long is there, but not at these prices anymore. That trade's gone out the door. 152 trade could have worked, but not with this action now you're starting to see in front of 153. So that trade's gone. So what you're going to need now for this long to still be valid, you need the right risk profile for a trade like this. So if it can come back down into mid 151s, I think the risk makes sense at this point. Try to catch it as close as possible to those previous highs before we broke out above. So somewhere through here, I think it would make sense. Also include some intraday action from yesterday as well. So 151 half-ish going on down. I definitely keep an eye out. 150 is going to be the stop. I can't justify a 152 long anymore. It's just not feasible in terms of risk profile for a trade like this. So I would just leave it be. The trade is there on the daily, but you just got to get the right prices on a dip. This thing needs to dip. It's strong on the day, 1.23 on the day. So it is doing all right, keeping up with the market at the very least, but it does need to come down because there's not enough signs pointing to more strength that justifies the long at these prices. So a dip buy might be the better situation here in PG as we get into the final half an hour. And the markets are NASDAQ up a whopping 0.02%.
It's flying.
It's taking off.
Hey, look, man, that's enough. As long as it stays green, then we can keep it on the bull and we can kind of claim we have a shot at the Santa Claus rally. But I just want to clarify something because someone in the chat was like, so you're saying I shouldn't look at the tick chart? I mean, not really. What I was trying to get at is that I look at a 3-minute chart, a 15-minute chart, and a daily chart. So you just want to stick in your own lane. That's all I was really trying to say. Like, I used to use a 1-minute chart and look at that and just kind of felt that I wasn't as good scalping when I was using a 1-minute chart. I felt I was just better off with the 3. I'm not making as many bad decisions. So whatever works for you, works for you. The tick, I've known people that use a tick. I know people that look at 1 second, 5 second. I know people that don't care about anything that isn't like the absolute higher time frames. They care about the weekly, and on a daily, they're looking at 15 or a 60-minute chart, and that's it. You've just got to figure out the style that works for you and go from there. Now, speaking of what works, I don't mean to draw a trend line or anything, but sometimes, like, ignore what happens this washout at the open on Micron and just observe once it holds that pre-market low here, 49.5, makes this upper range high. Whoops, I didn't mean to actually draw that one yet, so let's just get rid of that. And then look what actually happens and how it sort of makes this bottom here and has been respecting a bit of a trend. If I draw it from there, you can kind of just do this. Like, I don't care. I don't really care where you want to draw that line, but just an idea of what's sort of going on and what I was wanting to have happen for a breakdown in Micron. Like, it needs to get beneath that. Forget about VWAP for a second. But now that it's bouncing off it, I see a similar setup to what I saw over in GameStop, where you hold this, break back 50, and then suddenly you're risking 10 to 15 points for a run back higher. The problem with that, of course, is the futures coming down. It's like, yeah, do you want another long as we're coming back into the downtrend? That's about the only reason why I don't want to do it. Playmaker reminding me it's 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Tomorrow 50. What? Yeah, so it was like, I don't know, it was above zero for us. Well, okay, so above zero for us is like what? Like, what was it, like 36 Fahrenheit yesterday? Yeah. And then we're going to be for, I don't know, what the heck is minus 20 Celsius?
Let me figure that out. I'm very
minus
curious.
20. We're going to get, like, over the weekend, minus 20 with the wind chill Celsius. Whatever that is, Fahrenheit is darn cold. And it's flipping the switch for everybody. Like, outside, I guarantee you it's a mess. That's why most of the traders left, because quite frankly, getting home is going to suck.
Minus
for
4.
Us. So yeah, we're getting down to minus 4 Fahrenheit this weekend with the wind chill, and we're getting a boatload of weather coming in as well. So, yeah, if you don't care about hitting the like, hit the like for the fact that we're here and we all have to make our way home and we all want to enjoy that weekend. But this market doesn't want to hold up. Why didn't I just stay aggressive looking for some shorts? I just want to, sometimes what you want to have happen manifest. Market don't care. Market wants to head back into the downside. This is why I was going to be patient with where I wanted to grab some more Amazon. I already felt like I was chasing the move, and I'd much rather it consolidate 85s hold this level, and then I'll have a much better runway if it can get going. Because if it breaks here, I just sort of get in on the way down, breaks leg down, that's just having a terrible price. Now if it holds this channel, I can get some more shares only if it goes back into the upside. So I'm being very cautious about getting more shares. I see Disney has worked out for some people, talking about that short. Let's see, load up, baby. Come on, charts. The charts are already on holiday too. Disney's strong today. Oh, Disney, this is nice. This is see, the market needs to go. Without any kind of a break, this sets up so well for a top here, which I gotta tell you, like in this market, you're thinking fade 88 all day long. Because this is a top, the market's rejecting it, this is only trying to go. I hate to bring it up, I hope somebody's not long, because I'm actually thinking, looking for a short trade here, this is an obvious resistance level sitting here on Disney, and you're already bucking it with the market going down. So if it follows suit, there's room to VWAP. We do have the imbalances coming in 15 minutes. So this is that time of day where you're like thinking trim, thinking get out. If GameStop, I should just punch out a GameStop. I'm not even waiting for it to go. I'm just gonna punch out a GameStop right now. GameStop's not moving. I reloaded at VWAP. I got one scalp trade on it. That doesn't want to go. I don't want any part of it. Disney off the high gives me some exposure to the market drop. And thank you for bringing it up. It's a good level. I'll promise you this. On Monday, well, not Monday, sorry, Tuesday. On Monday, I'll probably be sauced. On Monday, we won't be here because it's a holiday. But on Tuesday, I will be looking for this breakout because it looks pretty nice on Disney here. Just for now, that looks like an obvious short.
Yeah, this market's catching some weight here as we get into the end of the day. Tesla also catching some weight now. Are we going to work through the bottom? Remember, initially when we went for that short up there, we were looking for 122 as the target, right? Let's just see if we can get back down to the low support area that we've kind of stuck with. Futures market also now below 65. Okay, maybe we can open something up on the futures as well. It's trading at 60 right now. I don't want to step into 60. There's no way I'm paying 60. 65-ish, yeah, I can get down with that. See if we can't get a little move up. And now's when the volume starts coming in. Like I mentioned, 3:30 going into 4 o'clock. It's been a quiet day. It's all, when I mean volume coming in, it's relative to the day, right? It's been a quiet day, so you're not going to require too much volume to move this market at this point. But I'm thinking mid-60s, I should be able to open up a nice short if I can get the price that I want. If I can't, then so be it. But for now, it does look like a lot of these names are turning. Let's take a quick look at the market leader here. Well, not market leader, but the largest weight in the NASDAQ, Apple. What is Apple doing? A whole lot of nothing, apparently. Actually, let me move it to a 5-minute chart. See if we can get a whole lot of nothing, apparently, because Apple's not doing anything there. Amazon, the high flyer, relatively speaking. Oh, it's coming back a little bit. Okay, they're getting back into, I think 85 should open up Amazon for some potential profit taking here to the downside. So as we get into the end of the day, it does look like any names that were strong today are getting some sell side action, profit taking action. Any names that have been sideways are still going sideways. And then you have Tesla doing its own thing here now, breaking through 123.5 and looking like it wants to keep going down. Keep going down. I mean, sure, I'm not participating in it, but I think the bit closer it gets to 120 going into the end of the day,
weren't you short?
Right in front of 125.
Oh,
yeah.
That was a good short.
Yeah. I mean,
that was a good short.
Yeah, it was a good short. Yeah, so, hey, this happens, right? But for me, like I said, though, I mean, I was at the point where I'm just like done. I'm just like, I made the money I needed to make on the first trade in Tesla.
Last year,
yeah.
I'm not making this up. Last year on this same day, and I remember it pretty well, at this time of day,
yeah.
I already had one rum and eggnog in me. And I know, like, I feel like, here's the thing, if Shawn was here, we wouldn't have this issue. Like, the rum and eggnog would definitely be out. But I forgot about it, man. There's not enough time to go get it now. Like, no one's gonna do it. Like, we had the festivities.
Nobody wants to go in this weather either.
Yo, it's bad outside.
And mind you, the store we're talking about is like right across the street. So it's like a 1-minute walk.
It's gonna,
if you wait for the light.
Oh man.
So like that's how bad it is that nobody wants to go outside and do anything.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun getting home.
And I didn't even drive today. I took the subway for the first time in 5 years, I think. It's been a while.
What's wrong with the subway?
There's nothing wrong with the subway. I'm just saying,
day.
like, it's the first time in a very long time where I've taken the subway, and it's like it's come to this where there's a possibility that I can't drive back home if I drive in. So
The subway is
yeah.
great. I don't care, man. It takes me
It
where
was
I
great
need
this
to go.
morning. I took a nap all the way from where I started to where I had to get off, and I'm just like, oh damn, this is what it feels like to take a nap when you don't have to drive yourself.
Yo, I have my routine. Like I take a train in to commute, and it's just what I love about it, and the best part is in the morning. I love to read, so like when I go home, I'm just dad, so and a husband. But when I go home, I know what it is that I got to do, and I don't have as much me time to read. So I get a chance to read my sci-fi. I get a chance to review my trades. I get a chance to read some stuff, what's going on in the market. But on the way home, it gives me automatic wind down time. So that time where you have that excitement of the market, I just find that if I'm driving home, all that happens is I hate driving in traffic, so you're wound up, you're excited about trading, then I'm driving in traffic, getting pissed off, and then I get home and I'm in a bad mood because I didn't have a chance to wind down. But I relax on the train, chill, put some music on, do a little bit of Sudoku because that's how I roll. And that's check out my fantasy team if I want to, but that's all you got to do sometimes. You got to figure out what works for you. But I do find from trading that wind down at the end of the day, it's really important, right? Because before I do anything serious, before I would go over my trades or think about what's going on next, or do things, do even do a workout, I want that time to go back from market mode to okay, now you're not trading anymore, you're just you, and then just get that bit of a wind. And I love that on the train. It's a lot of fun. I didn't pick up some Amazon, but it's bouncing a little bit here, so now I'm going to go in. It's 3:40, so this is that time of day where okay, you're in your last trades, AMZN, you're in your last trades. And you just want to think about, all right, this is it. There's my stop. We either get back to the high of the day. If something's going to have a big bid on it and there's a tiny imbalance, I expect the way Amazon was flying today because it stopped me the heck out on a huge candle on a short. I feel like Amazon has a chance to be that. I have a couple of shorts that I like. I got another leg out on Intel at 26 there. I'm not going to get back into more shares, but I like the fact that Intel comes out with an imbalance. It can flush into the bottoms, and then Disney gives me the high of the day play. So if it holds this consolidation, I think we head to the downside. I have an obvious stop out where I'm not really risking a lot. So I think I have exactly what I want to have here. If the market breaks out, Amazon will come back for me. I didn't like anything on Tesla, so I decided not to trade it. That doesn't mean there's nothing there. And the small caps at this point, they're done for me. All the ones I was looking at, like GameStop, where's GameStop? GME, right? I punch out a GameStop on the reload. GameStop's now dead. I could have just shorted this, as a matter of fact. AMC, doing nothing, hanging out at the low of the day, just getting crushed. That XPawn, which I don't think I want to make another trade. Yeah, that stop out was bad. It's right back at those lows. So not a heck of a lot happening here. Now at this point, I just want to, if the imbalances come my way, then I get to hold on to something, hopefully for a bit of a trend. Relatively tight stops are in. I guess I could have just picked up Google off that low. Oh yeah, it bounced off 89. I might like that one as well. Cancel my OI. I had an ORIC order still out there that I don't think had any chance of filling, but Alphabet is trying to bounce off 89. That's a level I liked. I'll probably take a shot there with a tight stop as well.
Okay, going back to what you're talking about, that time away from the market, that when you're trading, you're thinking at a certain speed, you're operating and you're just figuring out how you want to kind of handle things, and then once you get away and the market's closed, you kind of have to turn that switch off, right? And you need that time away. Everyone has their own thing. For him, it's reading. For me, usually it's going to the gym or something like that, something physical. So it's just. It's a great thing to have that balance, I think, especially as traders, because if you go from one high-stress environment to some other high-stress environment in some other part of your life, it could take a toll on you. And you're gonna, stuff leaks, and it doesn't sometimes end as good as you would like. So I think it's always good to have that, way to compartmentalize your trading away from the rest of your life. At least that's the way I try to do it. I start my day off with a workout, and then after trading, I try to do something, obviously not at the same intensity level, but at the same time, something that gets me away so I can actually move on from what my trading day was. Regardless of whether it's a great trading day or not, I do think that there needs to be that bridge that you just, kind of get over once you're done your trading day. Just leave it behind you. It doesn't need to take over your entire life.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you need to put in the work in your off time, but it doesn't need to take over your entire life. Trying to get this done. So Futures market bouncing, and it looks like that mid-60 idea is out the door because I do not want to take a trade going into imbalances. Do I expect the imbalances to come out in a certain direction? No, but I also don't want to do it at the end of the day, knowing that this is coming out in about 6 minutes or so. Brendan.
I mentioned this one early on this morning, but trying to make a run into the close here. This Calera, K-A-L, there was a 100 for one reverse stock split on this one today. So this was the one today, up huge, trying to get going again. Just broke 10 there into the close, guys.
I was just saying,
Imbalances, maybe?
man, I was just saying in the chat that like, some people, like, I love the fact that we have like loyal viewers that watch so much, but it's like you guys basically just guess like stop prices sometimes. Someone's like, hey, is your stop on Disney at blank? And you guys can just read the chat and see it. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, it is. But you probably would have guessed that anyways, because I kind of do very similar things when I'm using the high of the day, which is fine. Like, you got to be willing to get run over, make top wick, bottom wick. For me, my style of trade, if I'm ever going counter trend on a stock, then I am always not having an issue making the top or the bottom wick. Because the other side of that equation, and you could look at usually all the worst trades that you ever have, and it's like going counter trend, fighting it, not having a stop, giving it more room, averaging. Like, those are always your worst trades. It's much better to just get embarrassed by making the top wick or the bottom wick and managing your risk than it is to make a mess of it. Someone just said Alibaba's at a key level. You're absolutely right. Don't know if we're trading off of that with 15 minutes to go. As a matter of fact, I know I'm not going to be trading off this with 15 minutes to go. But this is the other end of this coin that I've been waiting for a shoe to drop here on Alibaba, on the daily. It's got an obvious channel beneath 85 that you've got room to the 50 period. If you contrast this with like a Pinduoduo, this made a big bounce, rejected the 200 period, which it's had an unbelievable habit of doing, rejecting the 200 period moving average on the daily, and is about to break channel down. Now look at what happened the last time it did this. Now I'll zoom back in for you guys. The last time it made this same move, reject the 200 period, break consolidation, look at the legs it had on it, 110 to 95. 110 range 95, and then for this little bit here, you were shorting 107, 108, back into 95. Now I promise you, anybody, you can go back and look at when this was around here. I promise you, you're going to find at least one of us, or at least probably both of us, looking for shorts off of Amazon, channel down, 05, 07 short, going back into 110, then breaking the 50 period. So I remember when that happened. And if it happens again, and you break 85, then I'm going to spend a week wanting to short 83, 84, into this off the 85 level, trend down into the 50 period moving average. I already know what I'm looking for with Alibaba next week. I'm set up for it to be sure. I did get that reload finally in Amazon, saying instead of waiting for 25s, just get this one here a little bit closer to 85s. That way when it comes up, I'd have an average price a little tighter to that quarter and 30 mark, meaning if it doesn't get to the high of the day, I actually can still make money on the trade. If I average into it here at 25, then I need to bounce all the way up to the top, and my risk reward is definitely expanded. So at least I'll be able to be profitable if it doesn't make it all the way to the top. And that's the thing about being patient. The other side is I might not have gotten that fill if it doesn't come all the way. You guessed it, my stop at Disney. You were right. It was at 05, so I am out of this one now. Ends up getting to, I don't know, like 6s or something like that. But I'm out. The Disney short doesn't work out. Alphabet not bouncing as much here as what we're seeing in Amazon, but it's kind of trying to go. I'm not going to add to it because it's 347. Holy crap. It's 347, so at this time of day, tightening my stop, not giving it to the bottom of the range, literally going to give it a few shekels past like 10 or something because we're right at that point where it's like tight stop or make a run.
Yeah, we just got a super chat there from Go Explorer, 777s. Thank you so much. He says, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Or they say, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, or just be happy and joyous. Thank you so much. Absolutely to you as well as this market, man. This is making some interesting moves, specifically Tesla. Hey, Tesla, $2 later. This is what you're doing, huh? Let me pull up the other chart because Fahad's over there chatting instead of pulling up the right chart. This is where Tesla's at right now, 122.80. Nice little move here. We were initially looking at it at 125. Now, damn, $2 and change now moving. All I can do at this point, remember, we gave up this trade, right? We gave up this trade for like a 13-cent win. As it's coming on down, this is going to be very interesting because I wonder if this is a precursor to imbalances on Tesla. Mind you, I'm not expecting any imbalances. I would say that there is going to be no name above 1 million shares.
No name above 1 million?
No name above
Want
1 million
bet?
shares. No, I don't, because
bet?
I'm not that confident in the bet. But I'm
Oh,
gonna, that's,
look, man, we can make it fun. Guy, what he says there's not going to be an imbalance over 1 million. I promise you there will be. So I just think of some terms. Let's bet. There's going to be something over 1 million. We have like 30 seconds to go. There's going to be an imbalance over 1 million, for sure. Money. What do you? Oh, well, I don't want to bet you money. I want to bet something fun. What can we do here?
like what?
I don't know. I could put you in a
Bring
Bills
it.
jersey, but you're not going to care.
No, I don't care that much.
You guys think of something here, man.
We're
By the
running out of
way,
time.
the loser raps, I don't know. Take off the sweater. I don't want him to take off the sweater.
I'm dashing through the snow. Come
No
on,
one's
man.
taking these sweaters off, man. I'm not taking my Christmas sweater off, and I'm not even taking
You know
it
how
off when I get
cold
home,
it is
man.
here too?
Oh yeah, it's cold.
No.
Push-ups. The guy could do so many push-ups. It's crazy. He probably do 1,000.
We got the
push-ups,
imbalances
man.
coming out. Let's
They're
see if
coming
I'm
out
right or
now.
wrong.
You're wrong. Oh my God, you're right. In your face. You should have bet me, man.
See?
You should have bet me. Well, what do you mean see? You don't get to, you didn't make the bet. You would have won the bet. Now you didn't win the bet. There's nothing over 1 million shares. I'm like, promise you there's going to be something over 1 million. I was wrong. You get nothing because you didn't make the bet.
That's
I could
fair.
be doing a humiliation right now.
That's fair. But at the same time,
This is exactly why you should, my favorite trading book or my favorite book is Annie Duke's Thinking in Bets. And it's not to say that you should be a degenerate gambler, but it's more like all of your decisions you should frame in the standpoint of, well, what's the probability of this event that I think will happen? And by the way, I did get stopped out of a couple of things, but I didn't get stopped out of Amazon. Google did stop me out. Amazon did not stop me out, but it looks like we have a small buy. Amazon didn't care and is heading to the downside. So if it breaks this channel, I am going to have to get out of Amazon and take the L there. But what I was sort of getting at there is, it's about thinking about everything in terms of probabilities and what would you bet on this event? Like, how confident are you? And then just evaluate the decision based on those probabilities. Thank you very much, Playmaker. This time 305 in a big way. We love you, brother. Happy holidays. Money isn't everything. Relationships are priceless. And I have several with you guys. And if you're wondering, so Shawn got to meet Playmaker down south when he was in Miami, and he had a great time with him. And since then, Playmaker's been a great fan of the show. He just retired police officer who obviously did a fantastic job serving the community and is a great ambassador to our community. So thank you so much for that. I promise you it's going to go towards some eggnog at some point. We should have had some today, man, but we'll have some fun with it, and we'll make sure that it goes to giving you guys a better show as always, because that's what it's all about. I just want everyone to enjoy themselves, quite frankly. Be safe getting home if you're in the GTA first. Or I think it's anywhere in the Northeast is getting some weather, so be safe to be sure. But thank you guys for passing on the love there. Pay it forward. That's what it's all about.
Yep, absolutely. Playmaker always comes through. He's always talking. I remember earlier he sent that something about Island and Gray just for me. I feel like that was directed towards me because of my bald head and my beard. I don't think it was.
But you don't have any gray. I'm the one that has gray. You can't see because my hair is short, but I'm the one with the gray.
I don't know.
I'm the one with the gray.
I'm sure there's a gray there somewhere. I'm young, but not that young.
You're not that young.
Younger than you.
Whatever. I walked into that one.
Yeah.
You don't get any points for that. I walked into it. I gave you that.
Well, okay. Imbalances. Going back to imbalance, Tesla is actually a buy. Remember, it was selling
I gotta
off.
get out of this.
It was selling off in a decent way here, and I guess a buy, but Tesla's not catching a bid after this imbalance being a buy. Usually, when imbalances come out a certain way, you expect movement in that direction. Mind you, 350 isn't everything, but 355, I think, based on the way it's moving around, I suspect that Tesla's actually going to flip from a buy to a sell. Because I think we should have seen a lot more of a reaction if this truly were a buy. So we'll see if imbalances on Tesla do flip around, but for now, GM and 3 out of the top 4 are all auto companies. If you consider Tesla an auto company. Is Tesla auto or tech?
It's an AV company. It's valued as much more. If you look at the valuation, then it's mostly justified by that it's going to do a heck of a lot more than just be an EV company. But for the, I consider it an EV company. I want to go to, I'm out of everything now. I just got out of Intel. Nothing's really moving. I saw Starbucks on that list, and it kind of got me at least remotely interested in that to see what it's doing. Because I forgot to look at Starbucks. There was the other day someone brought up Starbucks, and I remember when I pulled up the chart, started getting really interested in a couple of things because it was pulling back, right? Like, it's going to zoom out the daily chart here because I'm just setting things up for next week, right? There's always a trade to be had. So this is what happened on the way down at 100, and I'll zoom back in. You broke back down 100, kind of like Baba. You had the breakout channel here at 100. You come back in, break 100, 100's resistance. I think you're headed to the 50 period at 95. So that's a setup for next week. It's a little bit stronger of a stock because it's been such a strong upward trend. Whether you like Golden Cross and all that nonsense, that's fine. But since it made the Golden Cross, it held support, broke out, and has been a pretty strong stock. I think it can bounce off the 50 period. If it does, that gives you some support there. But there's also this 100. If we get bearish next week, that 100 seems like it should be break down resistance and then play to the 95 area for some scalp trades. So it's interesting. Like, all that had to happen was I see it on the imbalance locator. I'm like, oh yeah, Starbucks. I knew there was something I was thinking about for that stock. Could I have traded it today is the question. Answer, probably no.
Tesla is still a buy, huh? Wrong again, I guess. And there goes Tesla to the upside a little bit here. One thing, at this point, imbalances are too small to matter. One thing I will say though, the like count is under 1,000. We know that we want to hear Neil rap. I believe the target is 1,500, 1.5K. So we need about another 516 likes in the next 5 minutes. Can we get it going just to see if we can get, we're going to a long weekend. You're not going to see Neil for another little bit there. So you want to hear him rap. He's warmed up. I know, I heard it this morning. He's warmed up and ready to go. We just need the likes to get it to happen. I'm sure it's going to be Christmas themed. Let's talk about it. Is it going to be
themed?
Is it going to be Christmas themed?
I don't actually know anything that's Christmas themed.
All right, we're at 1.1. We're getting closer. 1.5 is what we need before the end of the 1.2.
The interesting thing of the way that it went down is yesterday, so everyone that watches the show every day, there was a moment during the midday show, and I hope I'm not giving it away. I don't think I'll be giving it away, where Sharif was saying something, and then the way it came out, he said a line from something, and then I actually started getting into it, and he turns around and he's like, is that what's going to happen? I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of cursing in it. I don't know if I can actually do that one because I don't know the clean version of it, but maybe I'll give it a shot tomorrow. So I don't have that much of a process. Like, he gave me the idea yesterday. I was like, whatever. I'll maybe give that one a shot.
Can we get Fahad on the sensor real quick? Fahad, is there a possibility you can censor?
No. Look, let's put it this way. I would rather I'll sooner embarrass myself. I'm not going to curse. It won't happen. I'd rather just stumble through it. But it is what it is. Thank you, Zach, for the birthday wishes. I'm going to have a lot of fun because I get to be with my fam on Monday. I got my in-laws coming. They were going to come today, but there's a huge storm coming.
Still need 200 likes, guys, for this rap to come through.
Get there. Fahad can beatbox. Someone saying let you rap. I think that would be pretty cool, too.
You don't want to hear that.
Do you guys... You can beatbox, Arun? Or Arun, Fahad?
Something a little bit more. Come on.
But only I can hear that, Fahad. They can't hear you. That's the problem.
Fahad.
Fahad,
grab a mic.
No, Fahad, man. It's literally the day before Christmas. No one's on the floor. I'm not taking any positions. Grab a microphone and do that for them right now.
Grab a mic. Come take my mic.
My birthday wish is that Fahad gives you that beatbox so you guys can hear it. But you know what? If he doesn't want to do it, we could have him beatbox instead of me rapping. I think that'd be more fun.
Still need 200 more likes, guys.
Come on, man.
We're running out of time here. We want to hear a rap from Neil before, and maybe Fahad even beatbox. I don't know. He says he can beatbox and then only does it in our ears. Come on now, man.
That's the unfortunate thing. I think it would be so cool, and we've been thinking about this actually, that if there was some way for you guys to have an exposure to like what goes on in our earpieces on a daily basis, because we'll be talking to you and trading and doing our own thing, and Fahad will just be like, he'll be cracking jokes, he'll be saying, like, he'll be talking nonsense, he'll be talking smack. You lose on a trade, you do something stupid, you say something wrong, he's up in your ear, and we have to keep a straight face. And when we say Did you hear what he just said? Was that to me or you?
No, he said it to both of us. He said, And I do, okay, okay. So he's been throwing shade at me saying that I went to New York and I ate all the pizza and came back a little bit bigger, which is very, very true. I do not deny that.
That's not what he said.
In the nicest of words.
What he said.
In the nicest of words, that's what he said.
What Fahad just said is if I had a mic, then they'd get to hear me call Arun a fat ass.
Which stems from my pizza.
That's just rude. That's just rude, Fahad. That's not something you should say to a coworker.
We got a minute. Come on, man. Get the lights up.
Arun is the last person you wanna insult. That's all I'm saying, bro. Arun is.
It's all in fun.
Trust me when I tell you, he's security up in here. Like, I know that when Arun is in the building, we're good. I'm not locking the doors. I'm not looking behind me. I'm straight. Arun is going to make sure that we're good to go.
I will say one thing, though, Fahad. At least
where's the slipper at, man?
Fahad, at least mine is temporary. Can you say that about yours, too? Yeah. This is just life for you, huh?
He's hitting the gym now, by the way.
Yeah, he is hitting the gym, but it's not helping.
Wow. Okay, we got 15 seconds to go. I think everybody from the team is here. It looks like Katrine gets to ring the bell because she participated. Thank you, by the way, for participating in the sweater. Get the camera off me. I already messed the countdown up. It's going to be 3, 2, and 1. Forget about that. Ring it.
Oh, 1.5K.
And she's got the Christmas sweater.
Hold on.
Which is fantastic.
Hold on.
What? Oh.
There you go. Now the market's closed. I said so.
All right, let's go to Brendan real quick. Let's see how the market ended up here.
Positive, guys. So there's that. Was not expecting us to hold on to positive territory, but it ends up about 0.53. Looks like 0.55 even maybe for the S&P 500. Fahad. Hey, thanks. 0.53, 0.39, 0.16 there for the NASDAQ. But positive numbers. At one point today, it looked like it was going to be negative. I was just actually double checking. It looks like the Dow specifically got positive on the week. The NASDAQ and the S&P, not quite though, guys.
Oh, what are you going to do?
Hey, you got 1.5K.
We did get that. The market's green. See? It worked. Oh, my goodness. He's looking pretty... That's actually looking pretty rough. It's weird. Like, it just gets thrown around too much.
He's had a rough go of it this week.
Look, it's been hard to be a bull lately, so obviously he's looking a little bit rough. But, hey, we got the 1.5. Realistically speaking, joke's on you. I'm not that much of a Grinch. I would have probably done it anyways because it's Christmas. I just want everyone to have a little bit of fun. Unfortunately, like, I'm not doing something Christmas-themed because, quite frankly, I don't know anything Christmas-themed that's a wrap. So I don't have anything along those lines. This one is more for Sharif. I know he's out of here, but he said, can you actually do this? And I was like, I'll give it a shot, and I'll try to do it without cursing. So that's my long run up. If you know, I was trading a little X pawn today. So, no, you're wrong. You're wrong, Fahad. Snitches want to lie. Snitches wonder why. Snitches want to die. All I know is pain. All I feel is rain. How can I maintain with madness on my brain? I resort to violence. My killers move in silence like you don't know what our style is. Your killers are wildest. My dogs is with it. You want it? Come and get it. Took it, then we split it. Yeah, that's right, we did it. What the heck you gonna do when we run up on you? Messing with the wrong crew. We know what you gonna do. I'ma have to show players how easily we blow players. When we find out the small players, that's running with your players. Nothing we can't handle. Break it up and dismantle. Light it up like a candle. Just cause I can stand you. Put my ish on tapes. Likely busting grapes. Think you pushing weight? You haven't met the apes.
Ooh. Wow, that's
AMC apes?
That's well played.
So anyone that actually knows that rap, if you've heard the actual version of it, you probably know just how much cursing there is in that one. So I probably had to change a lot of it, and I didn't grow up listening to the clean version. That's just how it is. That one's for you, Sharif. He shouted that one out there. DMX. I could have done the chorus, but you guys know the chorus on that one. No, but thank you guys, everybody. I want to make sure everybody gets home safe. I know there's a big storm out there for a lot of us here. Brendan, by the way, and I'm just going to throw this out there. Brendan, you're finally taking some time off. What's planned for the week for the next week?
I mean, if this storm has anything to do with it, absolutely nothing. But the plan is to go south. But I don't know. At this point, I just noticed that, guys, if anyone's familiar with this area, the 401 right now is essentially closed from Kitchener-Waterloo to Detroit. Because the weather's so, yeah. So because the weather's so bad. So, yeah, I don't know.
Were
We'll
you
see.
supposed to fly out in the next couple days?
I was actually driving because we're
okay.
taking our dog with us. So hopefully Sunday.
Saturday morning then. I
Or,
guess.
yeah, hopefully
luck,
Saturday,
man.
Sunday. We'll see.
But either way, like as long as you're with the people that you love, then you know it's going to be a good holiday.
Even if you're stuck on a highway that's in a snowstorm, but I don't know.
I'm trying to find
It'll
the
be
silver
fine,
lining.
man. It'll be fine.
Best of luck. Of course, Arun, thank you, doing a fantastic job filling in for Shawn, who I know is always missing the markets, but I know he's with his fam over the weekend. And I just want to say, from the Trader TV family to everybody, have an absolutely happy holidays. And that comes from all of us, right? Like, we had the entire team up here. You guys got a socket train ring the bell. We had Liz up here from Lucas and Fahad and Mark, who does Mark does a million things in the back that you guys don't get to see, and he's just like a jack of all trades. You see Randy up here, the midday crew as well. Luke and Sharif doing a fantastic job filling in. Greg, our floor manager. There's the team up there. Some of them have gone away. Our producer's been around here, so it's been fun to have him around. So from all of us, I've said everybody, and I'm Neil, by the way, and of course, Shawn, Brennan, and Arun, my main man. From Trader TV Live, happy holidays. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend. Enjoy it. Do your thing and do it well. And make sure you tell the people that you love them. And make sure you do something thoughtful and giving over this weekend. And we'll see you back on Tuesday.